What's up, Wolverine Nation? It's your boy TJ Ronin. We have another excellent guest here with us on the call-in show. It is Michael Smeltzer of Wolverine Chronicle, a good friend of the program. Before we introduce him, I want to let everybody know you can find us on all podcast platforms from Apple, Spotify, Audible, and Amazon. And also be sure to like, subscribe, and share the video. We greatly appreciate everyone watching the video, liking the video, and joining us today on this call-in show. And now to my guest of the hour. What's up, Michael Smeltzer? How you doing, man?
TJ, what's up, man? I'm excited to be here. This is a hell of a show you guys got going on here. So ever since the day you asked me to join, I've been excited. I'm excited to talk some ball. I mean, we've got ups and downs, positives and negatives. Let's do this thing.
Yeah, man. We do got some ups and downs. I mean, and I think to put it in perspective is we are still 4-1. We have everything to play for. I think the fan base needs to acknowledge, there's growth happening, growing pains. And I think, and I want to get your take on this. But actually, before I do, let me let everybody know the call-in link is in the description, guys. If you guys want to call into the show and talk with me and Michael Smeltzer, who is also known as Wolverine Chronicle on Twitter, guys, major account there on Twitter. Give him a shout out, subscribe to his channel. But yeah, man. So regarding the team, what is your thoughts on the team? We are 5 weeks into this, heading into Washington. What is your thoughts on the coaching staff? And then after that, I'll ask you about the offense and defense.
Yeah, man, it's interesting, right? Because you have people all over the map when you talk about Michigan fans and how they're feeling. Yeah. I think we need to take a step back and maybe take a little bit of a chill pill, right? Like reigning national champions, sitting in the top 10, top 15 win under our belt, only losses to the #1 team in the country. If you would have told me that coming into the season, I would have said, okay, like that's pretty good. We feel pretty good about things. But when the quarterback position looks the way that it does, I think everybody gets a little bit panicky, right? And I think that's everything. I mean, yes, there's some problems with the defense. We have a really talented defense that have probably let more points on the board than they should have. But if that quarterback position was looking a little bit more predictable and better, I think Michigan fans would be fine. From my perspective, I still believe in this coaching staff. I support the coaching staff. I still believe that we got the right guy leading the team from a coaching perspective. And I think we've done pretty damn good. Getting a win against USC, given the nature of that game, I mean, we're looking all right.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, I 100% agree with you on the quarterback thing. I think there's a concern level within the fan base because they see a quarterback who's having a very hard time surpassing 100 yards. And a offense that seems to be very limited in versatility as well as creativity. We see, so I think, also, I mean, let's be honest, we were so used to such a well-oiled machine. So we're kind of getting this like shock effect of like, what is this not sound fundamental football right now with this new team, with new starters. I think a lot in the fan base are kind of like, this is not what we expected. I will. All right, let me ask you this. I'm actually going to do a little turn here. Would you say that your expectations are being met headed into the season, or are expectations not being met, considering what
Not
we have?
being yeah, not being met,
Me
man.
too.
And like
Okay.
I got to be a realist about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So we've got you know, three guys on defense that are potentially a top 10 picks in the NFL draft, and then we've got a tight end that's probably a top 10 or 15 pick in the NFL draft. That alone should land us in like one of the upper echelon, like sexiest teams, like up there with the
Right.
Bama, Georgia, and Ohio State and Texas right now. But we were told all offseason, like, oh man, Orgy's coming along, right? The passing game's coming along. He's killing it in
Right.
practice. And I feel like every week we're being told, like, oh, here it comes, here it comes.
Yeah.
And I like Alex Orgy. I think he's exciting. I think he's a good athlete. We're going to need to see a little bit more through the air before anybody feels like their expectations are being met. I think Kurt Campbell being asked to run this offense through Alex Orgy right now is like asking Picasso to paint a picture with like a Crayola crayon or something, you know what I mean? And that's no
Yeah.
disrespect to Alex Orgy. It's like I feel like Kurt Campbell, if he had a more experienced and more maybe pro-style thrower at the position, we would see a very different offense. And and we can talk about this later, but I'm just going to throw it out there. The thing I'm getting nervous about is these guys like Andrew Marsh and these, top receivers.
Yes. Yeah.
How long are they going to watch a team that can't throw the ball before they start looking at these other schools like, hey, maybe I want to go, to Oregon or Bama or something like that?
Yeah, and we just saw Andrew Olish visit Alabama last weekend, but by all accounts, Alabama insiders have said they think he's going to be extremely hard to flip. He's very locked into Michigan, which is great. Same with Ivan Taylor. Ivan Taylor has already scheduled his return visit to Michigan with Michigan State. So yeah, man, we're gonna have to see in that. So let me get your thoughts on the offense. So we kind of talked about it. What's your thoughts on the offense? What's your thoughts currently, presently, and then do you think it'll improve? And then I want to ask you a question that I already know you kind of know because you're in the circle of goats, and you know what I'm saying. But what's your thoughts on the Jack Tuttle experiment? Is that thing going to come alive or what?
Well, here's the thing. Is this offense going to get better throughout the season? Yes. Yes, 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 yes. I 100% believe it, and it starts from the inside out, right? We got to remember, this is 5 brand new offensive linemen that are starting together. And I tend to agree Marsh isn't going anywhere. I see Moose in the comments, man.
Yeah,
I don't think he's
Moose does talk with Andrew Marsh. I know that. But yeah,
and I agree. I don't think he's going anywhere. But my point still stands that like these.
No, you're right.
These dudes are watching teams throw the ball a lot more than us, and it's going to be appetizing for a lot of them. But as far as the offense goes, okay, so 5 new guys, and I think that's what a lot of us in like Michigan fan nation took for granted was we thought, oh, Sharon Moore, we got a lot of talent, like the O-line's just going to be solid. Well, not so fast. The run blocking has been good, and I think Khalil Mullings is making it look even a little better than it is. The pass blocking has been atrocious. You've got guys, Evan Link on the right side. He's a true sophomore, I believe, so he's going to get better. But I do think that O-line gets better throughout the year. And I think it makes everybody else look better. I think Freddie Moore and Tyler Morris and Samaj Morgan start to get involved in this offense. Kendrick Bell, like those guys start to get involved in this offense. And then all of a sudden, we might be looking at a guy like Alex Orgy that can utilize Colston Loveland, has time to pass, and maybe gets a $175 through the air, a $175 and a touchdown, by the time we're playing a team like Indiana or something like that. And if Orgy can do that, we can win a lot of games because our ground game is solid. We still haven't seen the best of Donovan Edwards, probably. He's always good for a few explosive plays. So I think we'll get better.
Yeah, I also think we're going to get better because we saw improvement from uh, the first from the USC game to the Minnesota game. Like there was no question. There was that first half was exactly I think what we needed to see from Alex Orji, that offensive playbook. Now, did Minnesota adapt? Yes. Did our offense start to sputter and stall? Yes. And then a lot of people on our in our community was like, well, why didn't Michigan adapt? Well, and here's my response to what? We're one dimensional. Like we don't have like offensively, defensively, yes, we have the capability to adapt. But offensively, how can we adapt when we only have one dimension to the offense? Like there's only so much you can do with creativity with your run game. And then now, but granted, can they what's something that's interesting to me is why are we not putting guys in motion like we did against Alabama? Like, why aren't you giving a guy like Fred Moore the opportunity to get in motion and get a step on his defender? So this way, Alex Orji can do a quick, you know, a quick pass on a flat route or just something like a quick slant, something to give Alex Orji the opportunity to get a short to intermediate throw because to me he seemed actually pretty capable of short to intermediate throws. So like that's where you could see some adaptation. But I think also to Brian Cook's point that he made a week ago, and I want to get your thoughts on this. He says they are trying to make the players fit an offense instead of adapting the offense to the players. Do you feel that's true?
Yeah, maybe a little bit, and we talked about that first year offensive line. We got a first year coaches kind of across
Right.
the board. And so these are smart guys. They're capable guys. They're good. Like Sharon Moore, I think he's the right guy to be the head coach. Kurt Campbell, I think he's going to be a fantastic offensive coordinator. Grant Newsome, excellent offensive line coach. But they're all new, right? So when you talk
Yeah.
about game flow, you talk about rhythm, you talk about preparation, it's all something that is new to these guys. Jim Harbaugh was a CEO. He knew how to be a CEO
Right.
of an organization, right? Being a football coach is much more than just X's and O's, especially at a place like Michigan. You learn how to really manage the organization, and that's the learning curve for us. And so is Kurt Campbell and Sharon, are they maybe not adapting the offense to the personnel well enough? I think that's fair. I think criticizing them in that department is fair, that maybe they can use Orgy a little bit better. Maybe they can even on on the offensive line, maybe they can set up some tight ends or running backs to block and help out a little bit better than they have. And so but I have faith they will. I think they will. This bye week, if Michigan can get a win
Yes.
against Washington, it's a big if, because it's we don't know. Vegas seems to think that Washington's going to win that one, but if Michigan can get a win, be 5-1, that bye week is going to be maybe the most important bye week we've ever had in our lifetime of Michigan football.
Yeah. I agree. It'll help them get some kinks out. Also, and I'll read this super chat here after this point. But have you seen the Jack Tuttle rumors? Now, I do know we are in a chat where it's been discussed. There are some people in that chat who want to see the Jack Tuttle experiment occur. So I've heard that Jack Tuttle is now getting reps in practice. So what are your thoughts on? Let's say Alex Orji can. Let me give you two scenarios. Alex Orji takes a step forward this weekend. Scenario two, it's the same MO. The offense still looks to be a little stagnant. At the end of after the bye, Jack Tuttle's actually 100% ready to go. Would you like to see Jack Tuttle inserted into the lineup or given at least some plays on the next game?
I know hindsight is 2020, and so it's easy for me to say this now, but I want to remind people, anybody that follows me or knows me, I was on the Jack Tuttle train preseason. I actually thought he might have actually been the guy for the job. Personally, what I was saying more was, okay, Jaden Davis has the highest ceiling, throw him in there, sink or swim. But Tuttle was always kind of on my mind, like, this might be the guy. I was never a Davis Warren guy. Love his story. Love everything about him as a human.
Yeah, yeah.
I wasn't a fan of putting him in the game. I had him 4th on the depth chart. And granted, I'm just a dude that watches games. I mean, the coaches are in practice with these guys every day. But yeah, so Jack Tuttle, I mean, I wouldn't even say after the bye week. I would say, what if Michigan's down 10 in the 3rd quarter at Washington,
Yeah, yeah.
and Alex Orji misses a couple throws or throws an interception?
Yeah.
Do you think Tuttle gets in then? I would say, yeah, maybe.
If he's ready, I think he might. And this isn't like, I want to like stress to my fans, like I want to say fan base, my community, because our community is very strong. We did a poll last week, but we've gauged it all summer. Very strong pro Alex Orji, and not big fans of Jack Tuttle. But we used to have we have a guy who calls in, Keith Rebar. He might be watching. He used to be a big Jack Tuttle fan, but now he's on Team Orji. Here's what I think. I think if he's 100% healthy, like 100% healthy, because I don't know if it's quite 100 yet. I just know he's now taking reps in practice. Then I think Sharon will, because there seems to be a hesitancy with Sharon and Kirk Campbell, just like we saw the first few games of the year where where Alex Orji didn't even throw a pass. There seems to be a trust factor that it isn't quite there yet. But we'll see. Like, I think it's possible if we're down 10 and Jack Tuttle's not 100%, then maybe you see Davis Warren try to get us to claw back in the final quarter, like the last quarter and a half of a game. We'll see though. I think it's interesting. It's an interesting thought experiment. But all right, let's get to our first super chat here. We got Michael Newman, $5 super chat. MGO blog today. Percy graded out well. Link was the worst with a pro football grade of 139 tackles. How can we not at least try Percy Gentry because of practice? So did you want to answer that first? Or you want me to hit it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll stand on a mountaintop with you, Michael Newman. I'll get up there and scream the same thing from a mountaintop. I mean, I thought coming into the season, Gentry might be the guy, and then Percy had some good looks previously
right.
for Michigan. I think we were all a little bit surprised that it was Evan Link, and then to keep him in and to continue to do this with him. Again, I think Evan Link will one day be a fantastic offensive lineman, and these are invaluable reps that he's getting. But I think the worst thing for this entire team this year was that we haven't, and this is every position, not just the offensive line, we didn't get that ramp up that we saw like last year when it was East Carolina and UNLV and Bowling Green, or the year before when it was UConn and Hawaii.
Right.
And, like, we didn't get a game where we were up 50-0. When you're up 50-0, you're getting second stringers in, you're getting third stringers in. You get to really see how do these guys perform. That's really hurting this team right now. We would benefit a lot from a blowout just so we could see what we have.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, like when you have, like, I think there's depth to that point where what I mean by that is when you have a young experienced team, that is absolutely critical. But if you have a veteran team like we did last year, not as much because you kind of know what you have. Kind of like I've told our community that I kind of look at Texas this year like we were last year, a team that's on a mission, a veteran team. They are battle tested. They're ready to take on these tough matchups like Michigan was, even though they made us look a little easy. But like the point is, like, yeah, for an inexperienced team, we definitely need a quote unquote non-con, like a preseason, But yeah, so all right, to our Elijah Bowman here, $5 super chat. Who's more pissed? ESPN seeing Michigan ranked in the top 10, or Ward Manuel seeing Dave actually trying to help the program by paying a quarterback? Elijah Bowman, shout out to you. Thank you. You are a fantastic contributor to the network and to the channel. So let me get your thoughts here. What is your thoughts on the Dave Portnoy $3 million a year quarterback situation?
Well, do we think that Michigan's actually going to entertain the Dave Portnoy offer? I mean, I know as fans, we all want them to. And I think if I remember what Dave said, he's not saying whatever he's saying is legal, right? He's not saying I'll go out and pay this play. He's got like a middleman. Portnoy's got it all figured out, so it's NIL legal.
Yeah.
Apparently the stories were that Sharon Moore and Dave actually have been talking. I think today that came out. Who knows if that's true or not, but an institution like Michigan that tends to, put their nose up in the air a little bit and say, we don't need this, that, and the other, and kind of take the high road. We saw it in the Harbaugh recruiting years. And do we think they're actually going to let a guy like Dave Portnoy go out and grab him a quarterback and pay a few million? I would support it. I mean, in today's day and age, like if he goes and gets some 5-star, I mean, that would be pretty sick.
Yeah, I mean, well, so it appears that what Portnoy wants to do is he wants to cut the collective out. He doesn't want the collective even involved. And you brought it up. He's already contacted Sharon Moore. Sharon Moore said, "Hey, here's the individual you need to speak to." Now the assumption is it's Sean McGee, who is the general manager for the program. And then what Dave Portnoy wants is he wants the general manager to be like, "Hey, point to me the quarterback you want us to sign. I will sign an NIL deal," which, yes, is legal. Although, just so you know, it is legal to actually just pay a player without. Now it is, thanks to Tennessee in February. You can pay players to just literally come to your school. Like that's not against the rule. NCAA is not enforcing that rule anymore. So, but true NIL, yes. What Dave Portnoy wants to do is have this prospect or this player do like things for Barstool here and there, right? So which is true NIL. So that's the theory, and and it was just confirmed recently by On3 that this is in motion. Now. What I don't know is who is is he going to do just portal players, because that's what he originally said. Is he going to go after high school prospects? Hello, Bryce Underwood. Like what is the the situation here? But here's what I do find very interesting. There's only 2 quarterbacks outside of the $3 million price range. One's shorter Sanders at Colorado, and then the other one is Arch Manning. So, the point being is you should be able to get an elite player every year. So I think if now I'm sure you've heard this. Have you heard? Can you confirm that this? So I've heard this. Let me know if you've heard this. Portnoy tried to, and it actually was a little discussed in the On3 article, but we've talked about this with our community. He actually tried getting involved previously, but there are people in the Michigan circles who are not fond of Portnoy. Some of the higher ups. But in the article, it talked about how there's a business associated to the collective who he's not fond of because they had a bad business deal. So he wants nothing to do with the collective at all. Have you heard anything regarding Michigan? Because you brought up, like, do we really think Michigan's going to do this? Have you heard anything on your end where you think that Michigan may be reluctant to move forward with Portnoy?
Well, I think they might be reluctant just based on the type of personality that he is, right? He's a little bit X-rated, Barstool in general.
He's polarizing.
He's kind of, he's a polarizing guy for sure. Yeah. Even when the Connor Stallion stuff was coming out, he was, he was one of the most outspoken, almost obnoxious guys about that. I don't have any insights as to whether or not Portnoy actually has beef with somebody or not, but I just think that it makes sense that, knowing what we know about the collective and boosters and higher ups at Michigan, that he might be a guy that they're not interested in doing business with. But let me just back up just for a second, because you were talking about who would we get. The thing that's a head scratcher for me is really just Kurt Campbell and Sharon Moore and their intentionality around not hitting the portal this last offseason.
Yes.
And to me, it's like when they were like, we're not hitting the portal, we like what we have. I'm sorry, you got to field something better than what we're seeing this season if you told us that in the offseason. Because I look at a guy like this Castellanos guy at Boston College, and he's running around, throwing it everywhere. Boston College is not a large football program, and there's 10 or 20 guys like that would massively upgrade this Michigan team. And I'm not throwing shade at any of the current roster. I'm not even throwing shade at the coaches. I'm just making an observation that if you're going to tell us we're not going to hit the portal, and then you don't field anything better at the quarterback position, it's a little bit of a head scratcher. We would like to see more talent, more competition come into that quarterback room.
Yeah, I would label it a red flag. Like, how did you misjudge your roster to where you thought you were in a good position heading into the season with your quarterback room? And like, people, then the counter argument people will say is, well, it was the April portal, who was in there. But what we all know, and this is an open secret, is how you get players into the portal is you contact the agent, you work it out, and then they hop in the portal. And then oftentimes the player will hop into the portal, and then they will put on what is called a no contact label. So this way teams don't even bother them, and they already know where they're going. Like this is how we got Zavada from Arkansas State. We've done this before. James Turner from Louisville last year. Like this isn't, even though I just mentioned 2 kickers, but these aren't the only situations.
Yeah.
You can do that. Like Michigan is fully, they do that. Like that's not something they don't do, but it's like, it's a way for people to make a straw man argument. But like, that's what I mean. So like one of my concerns, I've shared with our community that like my trust in this coaching staff is gone. And the reason why it's gone is because the mismanagement of the roster in terms of not getting the players. Like, for example, we knew right tackle was an issue in spring ball. We knew Andrew Gentry was having up and down. He was inconsistent, and that was widely reported. They knew that, and they did kind of look for a right tackle in the portal, but they never landed anything or got anything into the portal. And then to your point about what we were told in the fall ball, or fall practice about how things look, Orgy's improving week to week. Davis Warren's an 87% completion quarterback. Like, we were told so much, and then we see what against Arkansas State. We see what against Fresno State. We see what against Texas. We see this team that we're not. What is this? Like, what they told us is not what we saw, right? So my trust went out the window. But what I will say is, I do appreciate Sherrone taking accountability now. This is what I've wanted from him. I'm like, quit sugarcoating it. Quit trying to sell us sunshine and rainbows. And when he said the comment after the Minnesota game, like, we won, but we're not satisfied. That's what I want to hear. Tell me what I want to hear as a fan is, look, good win, but we got work to do. Like, we have areas for improvement. Like, I want to hear that instead of saying, like, did you see the comment? I'm sure you did, where Brad Galley of Channel 7 was talking, and Ohio State fans are throwing this everywhere right now. Brad Galley was talking to Sherrone Moore, and they go, what do you say to the people who say Alex Orgy can't throw? Then Sherrone Moore goes, oh, he's going to show everybody he can throw, or something, something along those lines, right?
Yeah. He said that a few times. Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing, Sherrone?
I'm not going as far as you are, man. I'm still
okay.
I'm still behind this coaching staff, man. I feel like they're going to figure it out. I feel like they got a good staff, a good smart group of guys. They're learning too. And here's the crazy thing. Let me go out on a limb here, and the comments might go wild after I say this.
Get him.
I still think Alex Orgy might surprise us, man. Like, if you look at the first drive of the Minnesota game, right? They came out, they were looking good. It was that first scoring drive. It might have been it might have been Michigan's second drive. It was their first or second drive. He hit Colston Loveland on a little 10 or 12-yard pass. He hit Marlon Klein on a little 10 or 12-yard pass. And then Khalil Mullings got a good block and hit that, I think it was like a 22-yard touchdown on the left side. Like, that was a pretty good recipe for what we might be able to see from a guy like Orgy. And he's got a cannon. So you put a drive like that on the field, and then maybe, just maybe, he hits a guy like Samaj or Freddie Moore on a long ball, once or twice a half. Then all of a sudden, this whole team looks very different. And the good news about where we're at is we didn't lose to USC. We didn't lose the Minnesota game, even though we tried to lose the Minnesota game. I would hit you with a Lee Corso not so fast on losing trust, man.
So, all right. So just to clarify my position to anyone who's new watching, so I'm not saying fire anybody. Like, I'm not there. I'm not there, but I am. And you are right to correct me, or, hold your position where my trust is gone. I do not trust this coaching staff. And the reason why I don't trust them, I just earn it back. It doesn't mean they can't. It doesn't mean just from what I've seen and what they told us, and then their roster management and what they did and what they did not do has made me concerned to the point where I'm wondering if this coaching staff's in over its head. And obviously it's inexperience. So there, some of that's to be expected, but it's been so bad. Like, we'll move on to the super chat here, but like one thing that has been reported by a very plugged in insider, I guess I can give Sam Webb, I'll give credit here. Um, word is this may have changed, but the approach in practice was if the players are making mistakes, they do not stop and continue the play until they get it right. They actually keep moving ahead with the practice schedule. And that actually aligns with what we've seen on the field, where you're seeing these misreads or these misassignments, this sloppy lack of fundamental play. Now, there has been word that practice philosophy has evolved in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So maybe that has changed, because Jim Harbaugh's approach used to be, if they make a mistake on a play, they keep doing it till they get it right. Apparently, Sharon Moore was actually moving along. But it's potentially possible too that, listen, these coaches, who was here, Kirk Campbell, Sharon, they're used to a championship caliber team, thinking that this team was further along, and they didn't realize. But again, though, that's a red flag. How do you not know? How do you not have a pulse on your team? How do you not have a pulse on your roster? They didn't realize that maybe the fundamentals and getting things dialed in correctly was more important than initially thought. So that's concerning to me.
Yeah. But they're learning, and I would be willing to bet that those practices are not the most pleasant things to be. Now. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so
I agree.
Maybe we're going to see one of two things against Washington. I don't think we're going to see like a little bit like coasting, like I wonder what we have. We're either going to see Michigan come out there and show that they're a team that can go win a solid game on the road. They're going to win by 10 or 17 points and really put it to them, or the wheels are going to fall off, man. Like I really think this is the week it goes one of two directions. And so we'll see. Hopefully it's the former and not the latter.
Yeah. First, I want to apologize to everyone listening. They're telling my audio is having an issue, which is interesting because it's been good all day. I've been in meetings all day. I haven't had no issues. So I do want to apologize. I can't jump out of here to try and correct it. So I will try to fix my settings to the best of my ability, but everything checks out okay. So I don't know what the issue is. So apologies.
It was a little scratchy. Maybe just try plugging the cord in a little more or something. But yeah.
All right. Hold on. All right. How about this? Read this super chat.
I'll talk, man. And yeah. Michael Newman on the super chat says Jack Tuttle is also a mobile QB. I really think the only argument against Tuttle is if you kill Orgy's confidence and re-injure Tuttle. I mean, Jack Tuttle does kind of look like he's made of glass, right? What we've seen of him is that he's there was that UNLV game last year where he had this amazing run, which speaks to the mobility that Michael here is talking about. But then at the end of that UNLV run, what happened? He got knocked out of bounds and he was injured. I think he broke his collarbone or something. And so, but if a guy's injury prone, that doesn't necessarily always mean he's going to get hurt again if something like that happens. I say, I am in support of the Tuttle experiment, but only if Alex Orgy gives us a reason, in game to go that direction. And I still think Orgy coming in with a win against USC and then, enough against Minnesota, it's pretty hard to yank a quarterback that's undefeated. And granted, I know Khalil Mullings and the defense and Will Johnson and had a lot to do with those wins, but there's no denying that Alex Orgy had a better command of the offense in that USC game than Davis Warren did against like Arkansas State. I don't know what it is. It's something about, it's 3rd and 9 and Alex Orgy's getting us 10 yards and keeping the chains moving rather than taking the sack. Let's not forget that's really important for a guy at the quarterback position to do. And so, yeah, I mean, I feel like this is Orgy's job to lose still.
Yeah, I think at the moment, let me know if my audio is better or not. But yeah, I think at the moment
sounds good now. Yeah.
Okay, so I think at the moment it's Alex Orgy's job to lose. I just wonder how long that leash is. So we're gonna find out. Here's the reality, in my opinion. So so brace yourselves, Michigan Nation. I think Jack Tuttle is just a few mistakes away from getting snaps. That's what I think. I think he's going to see the field at some point. I get that feeling. But thank you, Michael Newman, for your $5 super chat, and thank you, Michael Smeltzer, for covering me there. All right, so then let's give a shout out to Detective Loki. Gifted us a membership. We appreciate it. Thank you for your gifted membership. Then we got Michael Newman again coming through. Thank you again for your contribution. Something weird. Johnson and Hill are great cornerbacks. Page and Johnson are good safeties, but our pass defense is 104 out of 40. How is that possible? Well, I have my opinion on it. What's your opinion on it?
Man, that's a good point. I didn't know we had dropped as low as 104. Michael Newman coming in hot with the really good takes in this stream. It's going to get better than that. It's going to get better. Keep in mind that when Minnesota was passing the ball all over Michigan, that not only was Will Johnson out, but Josiah Stewart was out. And Josiah Stewart really affects that passing defense because that edge rush really disrupts quarterbacks. And so that's half the game against Minnesota. And then we've got a game like Texas on the schedule where we came up against a team that was better developed, better prepared, had a better passer, and just might be the best team in the country. So when you take those two scenarios in, and that bumped us down a little bit. I mean, I'm with you, though. I think Jair Hill and Will Johnson are maybe the most talented duo at cornerback in the country. I think PFF released this week. They're the only duo from the same team that are both graded above 80 on the outside. Wow. And then I like Quentin Johnson. Let me say something about Makari Page. Makari Page needs to step up. Honestly, he needs to play better. I agree he's a good safety. I actually love Makari Page, but I think he's making too many mistakes for a guy that's a senior captain that's out there that's supposed to be a leader on this team. And when Will Johnson and Josiah Stewart are out at a game like Minnesota, Makari Page is the guy that should be making those plays. I mean, not like, yes, Jair Hill and Zeke Berry and those guys were playing well, but Makari Page should be out in front, leading this team vocally, holding it down, keeping the momentum. And I don't think we've seen that from him yet.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I agree with Jair Hill and Will Johnson. I also think Zeke Berry is excellent, who has not been mentioned yet. I think Brandon Hillman. Brandon Hillman is, in my opinion, he's pushing for a starting spot. So Quentin Johnson and Makari Page, who I agree is making too many mistakes or not making plays, not tackling guys when he should, getting caught out of position. I don't really know what's going on there sometimes, but like what I would say, so why are we ranked 104th? I would say because there are times where Wink Martindale has put the defense in a vulnerable position. On top of that, this is important, I would say. Our offense is not sustaining drives like it used to. So the defense is on the field far more, thus tiring our guys out. On top of that, we have a lack of depth, which we're starting to see in the third and fourth quarter, like especially against Minnesota where they're scoring 21 on us. So all of that is like a mixed bag. And because of that, our defense is getting gashed at times. And then you have the occasional cover zero Wink likes to do. And it's killing us, like that happens from time to time. So I think it's a few things there where it's just not as sound or as well balanced in terms of offense and defense as the team used to be. And that's why we're looking, but 104th is unacceptable. There really is no excuse. We should never be worse than a 40th ranked defense, the way we recruit. But it just goes to show you the issues on offense too. I think that's a big part of it.
That's a really good point, though. The offense is putting the defense in compromised positions, and they're not getting them rest at all. And I think that's a really good point. The best thing about that number one defense, well, maybe not the best thing, but a slept-on factor about the number one defense last year that Michigan had was that Blake Corum and J.J. McCarthy were just doing, just bleeding the clock and taking it down the field. I mean, that really helps the defense.
100%. And that's exactly what it is. Like, I'm sure you saw, someone put out draft rankings. We have 4 Wolverines ranked in the top 11. 3 of them are defensive players: Kenneth Grant, Mason Graham, Will Johnson. Like, we have stars. We just unfortunately have a leaky defense at times, and also I would argue a tired defense at times. Elijah Bowman here, 499. Michigan and Washington were both in the Natty. Both programs lost their head coach. Both programs lost their first-round quarterback. And Washington, excellent point, Elijah, still got Will Rogers. And that went to your point earlier where you're talking about, how did you not make a move in the portal knowing this was your quarterback? And then that goes to my point where, like, that's where my trust gets challenged, you know?
That's the one that is the most questionable thing this coaching staff has done. So when you talk about losing trust or you talk about red flags, that is the one, right? Like in order to win back trust on that decision, we're going to need to see a quarterback play really well the rest of the season. And I think most Michigan fans and Michigan faithful are not holding their breath for that, right? Like when we're seeing multiple games under 100 passing yards from a quarterback. And honestly, folks, we're heading into Washington, who is, I think they're a top 15 passing defense. And so it doesn't really look good, honestly.
They're number 2 in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to Will Rogers' stats, he is 110 for 147, 1,300 yards, 75% completion percentage, 10 touchdowns to 0 interceptions.
I would
that could have been
anything
us.
for that. I would
Could have
do
been us.
anything for that.
Yeah. Michael Newman again. And then Jesse, we're going to get to you next. We're going to get to our calls. Guys, we have one caller waiting. Juju's been going in and out. I don't know what's going on with Juju. Call back. But after we got 2 more super chats and we'll get to our calls here. But Michael Newman, $5 super chat. Hypothetical. Would you take this trade? You gain Kalen DeBoer as a head coach, but you lose Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, and Loveland. We hired more for stability, so we lose them. Yeah, I mean, that was something I've stressed here on this channel. The thing about Sharon Moore was so we could maintain elite play and transition while keeping the culture, the standard, the mentality, and the philosophy of the program, and to avoid a rebuild was the whole purpose of Sharon Moore, right? And then Kalen DeBoer gets, and this is the reality of this too, though, is, and obviously it's a hypothetical, Kalen DeBoer was definitely hired far before we could even make a decision because Jim Harbaugh took a while to make his decision. But yeah, I mean, what would you, how about this? What would you do? Would you make this trade?
No way. Not a chance.
Okay.
And I mean, first off, like, I mean, Graham and Grant and Loveland, these are Michigan guys, man. If Michigan stands for anything, it's like we stand behind our guys. Like, I'm not giving up on our guys, period. Yeah. And then also, I'm old enough to remember this young, hot coach that had one of the best offenses and these amazing playmakers at West Virginia back in the early 2000s. And we, you know, instead of getting a Michigan man, we went and got another guy that was supposed to, you know, turn this thing around. And I lived through the 3-9 Rich Rodriguez teams. You know what I mean? And so if Sharon Moore puts up an 8-4 season in his first year because, you know what, he didn't have as good of a quarterback as he was as we thought he would, and maybe it takes him 2 or 3 years to build this thing back up into a 10, 11 win team and get them into the playoffs. Is that still worth it? Like in my mind, it is, because the last thing that we want to see as Michigan fans is a Rich Rodriguez situation. I mean, that bled all the way into the Brady Hoke years and really the first like 5 years of the Harbaugh years, because Harbaugh couldn't really compete with Ohio State for quite some time. And the last thing we want to see is another decade go down the trash. Like, do I think Kalen DeBoer is better than Rich Rodriguez? Well, probably, but you just don't know how these guys are going to fit. You know, he walked into a really good situation in Alabama with a Heisman caliber quarterback. Like Sharon Moore, when it's all said and done, we might be looking back and say like, you know what, Sharon's a better coach than this guy. We just don't know yet.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I think you bring excellent points. I think it's a very good hypothetical, though. I think it's a very interesting hypothetical.
Yeah.
I think you're pretty on. I mean, I think I agree with you, but there's part of me that's like, I almost wish I had Kalen DeBoer. But you're not wrong. The what he inherited with Jalen Milroe, a stacked team, and you got to remember this too. If you don't have the NIL support that he has in Alabama, you don't have the roster he has, what does it look like, right? Like, you know, the reality is in the NIL era, you need the Jimmies and Joes, regardless of how good your X and O's are, right? Although there is a coach in Indiana, Kurt Signetti, who's making it about some X's and O's and not the Jimmies and Joes right now, because Indiana looks damn good. Next, super chat, Elijah Bowman, $1.99. You're missing, or us missing on some defensive tackles in the portal is showing. I think us missing on a lot is showing. How about wide? Here's another one we didn't talk about. How about wide receiver? Was CJ Charleston and Amarion Walker really your answer? Now here's the reality though. Michigan's NIL was not in a position at the time, nor was the philosophy aligned to where they were going to spend money on a player, a difference maker. And that is why you got discount players. Because we have to be honest, unfortunately, our philosophy is a discount approach. Now, granted, our NIL has improved greatly. Like it's far better now, or it's far better since March than it was a year ago, right? Like worlds apart. Where it's definitely a top 15 NIL now. Like there's no question about it. Michigan does play ball. They do pay players. They're just not, they don't have an NIL. Well, Dave Portnoy might help here. And some interesting revenue sharing news update. Very good update, by the way. I want to share with everybody that I've heard and read and heard. I texted a friend. He confirmed what I heard or what I read. So it's far better than it was. Michigan, and Ward Manuel publicly speaking in August, his interviews where he said, and I bring this up weekly, but I'll bring it up again. The philosophy of our donors at Michigan is evolving. He publicly said that he would never say that if there wasn't truth to that. He would never, that is something that would be closed doors, never discussed. It just goes to show you the openness. And now you got Dave Portnoy talking publicly, which of course that's no surprise, but the fact that he's confirming he's talking to Sharon Moore, like, like these are definitely steps in the right direction. But here's the good news. So in terms of revenue, and we'll get Jesse, I'm sorry, you're going to get your next. We'll pull you up here, your call. I heard early in the summer that Michigan's revenue share approach was looking to be 50-50 split between men's and women's sports. And then so that leaves about 11.25 to the men. 7 million was going to be allocated to this was being discussed. This was like something being discussed behind the scenes. 7 million was going to go to the football team. Well, now new reports, 80% of this might go to the football team. 80% of this revenue share might go to the football team. So now listen, no NIL structure has been agreed to. Everything is being discussed. But I think what's happening is they are seeing the climate of college football, and they are realizing what is required to remain competitive, right? So the fact that that's being discussed, that 80% of this NIL is going to go to the football team. Now, I almost feel like that's a little too aggressive. I'd be happy with a nice 65 to the football, and then like maybe a good 20 to the basketball, or maybe, I don't know, something along those lines. I like most of it to go to the football and basketball team, but basketball, there's only so many roster spots. So you have limit, it is limited, but how do you feel about NIL? How do you feel about, we'll get to Jesse on, but what's your thoughts on the revenue structure? Should money go to non-revenue sports? Should it be allocated to the revenue sports? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. So, but I do think that the football team should get an like ungodly percentage, right? Like they should get. I even think 80% might be a little bit too low because what?
Really?
Yeah, but that I don't know the inner workings. I trust. There's very smart people behind the scenes working on it, and I agree with you. I agree with you that they're getting better. They're getting more open, and I do think that Sean McGee, the GM, is like a big factor in this. I think Sharon Moore knew that when they decided to bring him in, and but the football team makes more than 80% of the revenue for sports, right? Like
right.
The football team,
the contract.
The football team makes a ton of money, and so those are the guys that should get the most money. I just think that's simple economics, but I do believe that women's sports and the non-revenue generating sports should get a piece of the pie. I just don't think it should be anywhere near an equal piece of the pie. To me, that's just kind of outlandish. But I have faith that the Michigan NIL movement is moving in the right direction. And like just to kind of wrap it back up to the comment we were talking about, I think depth in general that we missed out in the portal is showing up. I mean, we have two of the best defensive tackles in the country. So if I was going to point to the positions that are hurting the most, defensive tackle is lower on that list, but it's not a bad point, right? Missing out on depth guys in general is hurting.
Yeah, so I just confirmed it is 80%. I was like, wait a minute, is it really 80? I know I read that. I did hear it. 80% is that's crazy. And I'll be honest, that makes me very happy, because the one thing about that we've talked about, and we're going to get to Jesse. Well, actually, we'll get to Elijah Bowman's super chat here, and then we will get to Jesse Allen. Apologies, Jesse Allen. Thanks for waiting. And Keith Rebar has called, so I'm excited to get his thoughts on the Jack Tuttle news. We're at 50 minutes, so actually we got to get to moving here. But shit. All right, fuck. We'll just get to our next caller. All right, Jesse Allen. Hey, Jesse, how you doing, man?
What's up, fellas?
How you doing?
What's going on?
What's up,
oh,
Jesse?
not much, man. Just sitting out here. What's that?
Oh, you're good.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, just sitting here at rest area along I-70.
Yeah, where you traveling at? So he's a truck driver, Michael. He's on the road.
Illinois.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're in Illinois right now? All right, so what's your
Highland,
thoughts on the
Illinois.
program?
Headed home for, yeah.
What's your thoughts on the program right now?
I'm old enough to remember. I expected a down year. I really did. I expected 9-3 at best.
That's not bad
just
down, though.
after seeing everything we lost. I mean, no, but when you're 40-3 in the last 3 years, I'd consider 9-3 a down year. I mean,
Fair.
I'm old enough to remember when we won the 97 national championship. I was 17, and we had a down year in Michigan standards the next year, and we had two of the best quarterbacks. One of them went on to be the greatest of all time in the national. But we had a down year that year because Lloyd Carr couldn't get his head out of Drew Henson's butt and thought he was the greatest thing. And, this side of the Mississippi. And Tom Brady was clearly the better quarterback. That's why he got named the comeback kid. I remember the Michigan State game that year. We were down 31-17 because of Drew Henson's play, and you put Brady in and he brings us back and we lose by 3 and almost pull it out. I mean, so I've lived through up years and I've lived through the down years. I'm old enough to remember the Cooper years. I don't want to go back to the Rodriguez years because those were horrible. Those are probably the worst years in Michigan football, but we got to get over the second half collapse. I mean, I get it. The defense is getting tired, but I don't honestly think Kurt Campbell is the answer for OC. If you remember the game he called last year during the first suspension of both Harbaugh suspension, the offense wasn't that great. I mean, we won the game, we dominated, but I really thought his play calling during that game was subpar at best. I don't think he's the answer for offensive coordinator. I think he's a great quarterbacks coach, but I think they're going to have to go in a different direction with offensive coordinator. And as far as defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale is better than what we had, than Don Brown, but our blitz percentages are way too high. When we're blitzing over 40% of the time, and last year we were 20-some%. We ran a lot of simulated pressures last year, and we had one of the toughest defenses we had the toughest defense in all of college football. I was really amazed at the second half collapse by the defense. And like you guys said, the lack of depth, it's showing. I mean, to be a great team, we need to be like the 1990s USC, where we're 2 and 3 deep at every position. As soon as the seniors graduate, the junior class is even as good as the seniors, if not better than the senior class graduating. That's how you sustain, and that's how you compete for a national championship every year and every year and every out. Every single year. I mean, if we can just get through the year, I'm looking forward to next year because I think a lot of people are sleeping on Jaden Davis. I think he's going to do really well. And for the next couple of years, like you said before, TJ, we're set at quarterback for the foreseeable future, I would say, for at least the next 5 years. And if we get that one, I can't think of his name, that we're pursuing from 2027, we could be
Trey
set.
Taylor?
No, 2027.
Yeah, Trey Taylor.
Yeah, if we get him, I would think Yeah, I would say we're set for at least the next 7 to 8 years at quarterback. But we need receivers. The receivers we have, they need to step up. I mean,
Yeah, I would argue.
I don't know. I'm just.
So I would argue we need a quarterback for 2025. I don't think that answer's in the locker room right now, even though I know people are hoping Jaden Davis is there. But Michael, what's your thoughts on what his take on Kirk Campbell not being the answer, and I guess the outlook on the quarterback room and the offense going forward?
Yeah, I don't disagree, man. I mean, but I also I like to take a wait and see approach a little bit. I like Kurt Campbell playing with the hand that he's dealt right now. It's a little bit tough, but you know, it might make sense to keep the coaching staff the same, but see if maybe Sharon Moore is one of those head coaches that can call the plays on offense, because Sharon Moore is a guy that called some of the best drives we've ever seen in Michigan history. When I think back to that Alabama Rose Bowl and the play calls that were being called in that game, I mean, that it was poetic, man. It was a thing of beauty. And granted, yeah, he had some better players on the field, but Sharon Moore is a proven play caller, and so would it be crazy to see him maybe take the play sheet out of Kirk Campbell's hands in the back half of the year if he struggles? It's possible. That's a good point. But I do want to remind everybody here, like, this is a 12-team playoff world that we live in now, and so there is a world that exists where a team like Michigan could even have 3 losses and get into the playoff. And so when you say 9-3, there are a few teams that have strong enough schedules to where if it's the right 9-3, they could sneak in that 10th, 11th, or 12th spot. And let me just play through this with you guys a little bit. So imagine if Michigan beats Washington, loses to a team like Illinois, loses to a team like Oregon, and wins every other game, and then finds a way somehow, I don't know how, but finds a way to end the year with a win against Ohio State. That I think a 9-3 Michigan team in that scenario probably gets into the playoffs. And so this is a whole new ball game that we're playing, man. It's a crazy existence this year.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun because there's so much, like potential outcomes, and like that's what's so beautiful too is like we beat USC. If we can take out an Oregon, like if we handle business against Washington, and don't get me wrong, we have some tough tests with Illinois and Indiana. I think those are actually tough tests. They look like good teams. But if you can beat an Oregon and you can take care of business, and then, what if you happen to get a home field advantage? What if you get home field advantage and we don't even know what that is? We don't even know what that means yet in the playoffs, right? Like that's like very interesting to think about. But I agree. I mean, that's what I love about the 12-team playoff is like there's so many teams' hopes of lives. And like I said to open the show, everything's in front of us. Like we are 4-1. We have a bye week after this week. So if we go into the bye week 5-1 and the guys can figure it out, get guys healthy, get guys rested up, tune some things up. I mean, the team we see out of the bye week may be that more polished top 10 team that we all thought it was going to be. Now, granted, I do think we have to watch our expectations in terms of our quarterback play, but there's no reason we can't be a playoff team, in my opinion. We have the talent.
The defense, man. The defense is good enough to be a playoff.
Give Orgy some time. I mean,
yeah, I agree.
Oh, we lost. Oh, you're back. Yeah. So So what else you got for us, Jesse?
I'd say give.
All right, we're losing them. Hey, we're losing you, Jesse. So we're gonna move forward. Hey, let's get through these super. Keith, you're all right. You're there, Jesse. All right, he's out. Hey, we gotta let you go, Jesse. I'm sorry, but thank you for calling in, man. Let me get through these super chats, and also we gotta let our guest here go here in a moment. But let me get through these super chats real quick.
I'll go an extra 10. I'll go an extra 10 with you, so you can ride it out a little bit. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah. And shout out to everyone contributing to the channel. So we actually have this rule here on call-in shows. For every $100 in memberships, super stickers, and super chats, I will go an extra hour. You don't have to, my friend, but I will go an extra hour. So, for example, we have done 2 5-hour post-game shows. We just did a
Wow.
6-hour post-game show. So like, and we've done a few 3-hour call-in shows, which by the way, no requirement to you, my friend. So I again appreciate you for your time and joining us. So let me get through these because Moose came through really big, but I got to give a shout out to everyone else who contributed. So Elijah Bowman for the $1.99. These wide receivers are making me miss Cornelius Johnson even more. I think our wide receiver play is making us really miss Roman Wilson, Cornelius Johnson, Ronnie Bell. Like were they like first round wide receivers? No, but they were quality wide receivers and NFL caliber. They all made it to the NFL.
Let me throw something out here though, Elijah. So if let's say we had Alex Orji playing quarterback this year and we had Cornelius Johnson, Roman Wilson, Ronnie Bell, those receivers of the last couple of years, do we think it would be much better? I don't even know. Like we haven't even really gotten looks, So maybe Tyler Morris and Samaj Morgan are sitting there like, what the hell, I can't even get the ball in my hands. And so it's hard to know if that would even improve the situation.
I do think it'd be a little better. I think we'd get
Well,
wide receivers,
yeah.
at least get some separation because we're looking like we have a separation problem. And we saw Fred Moore quit on that route.
Yeah.
I do think it'd be a little better at least. But I agree. I mean, who really knows, to be honest?
Yeah.
All right, next up again, Elijah Bowman with the $4.99 super chat. The University of Michigan cannot allow Ohio State to create another gap between us in this NIL era. Last gap led to a 9-year drought. My counter to that, Elijah, would be because it's the NIL era, you can close that gap rather quickly. As long as you have, so here's the thing too, and I want to stress this, even though I mentioned this before, but we have a new guest. It's not that teams do NIL. It's that who is the leader of the program, because what Alabama and Georgia do is no different than what some of these other teams do. It's just like, for example, Florida State, no different. The difference is the CEO. Who is the leader of the program? What is the culture they instill? It's not just paying players that's the issue. The issue is they don't have the right leader leading the team. So you just have to make sure you have the right leader, a leader of men. And if you have that and you instill a good culture, and you don't cut no corners. Now, Kirby Smart, we could argue he allows his players to drive too fast because that seems to be a damn epidemic down there. But like outside of like that, by all accounts, Georgia's actually pretty tightened up on the way they approach things. But yeah, I mean, it just comes down to, do you have the right CEO for your program? Sharon may very well be that guy. He has the players' respect. We know that. And then we got Detective Loki here with another gifted membership. Thank you, Detective Loki. We appreciate it. Another gifted membership from Detective Loki, always coming through. Thank you, Detective Loki. And then Big Moose, my good friend Moose, he threw down the 10 gifted memberships because he's Oprah tonight. So you get a membership, you get a membership, you all get memberships. Take them, enjoy the emojis, use the toy hammer. Use the crying Ryans. They're there for you. If there's any Buckeyes in the chat, let them know the business. And then we got Elijah Bowman again, $4.99. Do y'all think we should start Jaden Davis next year and get him some elite weapons in the portal? Or do we grab an elite QB with our mid wide receivers? What do you think, Michael Smeltzer?
I already know what you think because I picked up on it already. You think we should hit the portal. I think we should do both. And what I mean by that is I think Jaden Davis is the guy. I think he is him. I believe he's going to be like a, top 10, top 5 quarterback in the country. I genuinely believe he has a pretty elite passing ability inside of him. But this is football, man. Make these guys compete. Make them earn their job. There's nothing wrong with going and getting a top quarterback and telling Jaden Davis, like, earn your spot, man. The problem is it's really hard nowadays to get a top quarterback unless you guarantee to them that they're going to start. But we do see these weird scenarios. I mean, it's hard not to point to Arch Manning and Quinn Ewers in Texas, right? But there's other less extreme examples of this where there's guys competing for a job that could both start for a lot of blue blood programs. And so I think Michigan needs to position themselves that way. And if you get consecutive quarterbacks to where you don't have to run the damn ball every single play. Like we're talking about Brady Hart after Jaden Davis. And if you start to build a culture like that, then the wide receivers will come. The wide receivers will follow at that point.
Yeah, I think a big thing to attract, well, there's a few things here. One, if you have, I was talking to somebody on social media and they're like, well, I don't think we need to get an elite quarterback every single year because we have Brady Hart coming and we have Jaden Davis and Carter Smith, yeah. The reality is if you have a stacked quarterback room, playmakers want to come because it's going to showcase them so they can get drafted. Now, there is another, it's a double-edged sword. You also need to pay them at least market value. Like you cannot undersell these kids. Good news is Michigan has played ball. Like Andrew Marsh is not coming for free, guys. The Philip Wright scenario was not an NIL issue. It was he's from Louisiana and LSU was his dream school. He also goes to an LSU pipeline. It kind of is what it is there. But I do think Michigan is in the right direction. We've talked about it. One more super chat here. Ramez Herrick, $2. Moore got Link, didn't find him. Offensive line take off soon. I hope so. I hope it does take off soon. I do think the offensive line's improving from week 1 to where we are today. I've talked about it. They just need time on task to build chemistry and cohesion. I do think Evan Link is still a weak link in the chain. Yeah. So, just like looking at, let's see, if we look at pass blocking against the Minnesota game, I will say his score was better than it's been. It was a 69. But if we go to Evan Link overall, let's see. It's a 17.6 for the season. And that's absolutely bad. That's not good. It's terrible. So
terrible. Yeah.
All right, Michael, I don't want to hold you up too long before I take another caller. So what we can do here is let everybody know where they can find you, your YouTube, your social media, anywhere you want them to follow you.
Yeah, so guys, my main thing that I do is Wolverine Chronicle. I've got WolverineChronicle.com. My mainstay is on Twitter, now known as X. It's at Wolverine Chron. You can also find Wolverine Chronicle on TikTok. You can find Wolverine Chronicle on YouTube. I'm always trying to get creative. I have a podcast, The Blue Wall, that's brand new. I kind of spun it off of my old podcast that I did with my buddy Matt Hartwell. Some of you guys might remember the Big House Bleachers podcast. It's now called The Blue Wall. I've interviewed some recruits. I'm doing some things there. But this is amazing, man. I just want to shout out TJ. I want to shout out the show and the following here. What you guys have going on is super cool. The engagement here is fantastic. I'd love to come hang out with you guys again sometime. Thanks
Absolutely,
for having me
man.
on.
We will definitely have you on again. I loved having you on. It was definitely a great show tonight. Yeah, man, our community is it's badass. Our community is very very strong, very together, very cohesive, good debate, good dialogue. Appreciate everyone contributing to the show. And thank you again, man. So if you guys want to follow him, Wolverine Chron is the Twitter. Actually, our marketing guy, Jackson Johnson, has it all covered. So if you guys want to give him a follow, please do, man. Michael Smeltzer not only puts out great content, he does a lot of player interviews. He does way more player interviews than we do. So if you guys want more recruits, like you had Eli Owens, then you get Jasper Parker, right?
Jasper, amazing young man. Can't wait for the world to meet him, man. He's awesome.
Yeah, so he has tons of these give him a follow, guys. He's a part of Michigan Nation. Support our friend here. And again, man, thank you. We will definitely have you on again, all right?
Thanks, man. Take care, guys.
Go Blue. Yeah, go Blue. Yeah, hell yeah, man. So here we go. My good friend, Keith Rebar, and B-Dub, we're going to get to you next, man. What's up, Keith?
Hey. Good discussion there. Yeah, I got in a little bit late. Was there some Tuttle news today?
Yes, there's been some B-Dub's cracking up behind the scenes right now. All of our viewers they love it. They love it, Keith. All right, so Jack Tuttle has been taking reps in practice, my friend. Jack Tuttle has definitely been. So last game he was doing some pregame reps. He was throwing the ball a little bit. But word is he has begun taking reps in practice. So that is currently where it stands.
Okay, good. Yeah. I think Tuttle is the best quarterback of the four that we have. And I can't speak to Jaden Davis. Freshmen are freshmen, but sometimes freshmen can do a good job too if you limit how much of the playbook they can look at their first year. But that makes it easy for defenders, so you can't. That's always not a good idea. You're better off with an experienced quarterback. And for those people that doubt Tuttle because he's like 5 touchdowns and 6 interceptions in his career, um, he was actually 4 touchdowns and 6 interceptions at Indiana. I think at Arizona State or wherever he was. I don't think he ever saw the field, but he must have been 4 and 6 at Indiana when he was thrown in there as a freshman to try to move that offense. But they did have Kalen DeBoer as a coordinator, so he could have done better. Maybe could have done better, maybe not. But when he was at Michigan, working under Sharon Moore, he was like 15 for 17 or 13 for 15 or something with 250 yards and 1 touchdown, no interceptions.
Yeah, he was actually 88% last year.
Yeah, 88%. So he really was playing at a near elite level when he came in to camp, but he was he was way behind JJ. There was no way he was gonna beat out JJ, but he looked JJ-esque when he was in there. Not like JJ, but JJ-esque.
Yeah, I can't go that far, Keith, but here's what I will say. I think it's Orgy's job right now. Let's see if he can continue building on what he's where he's at. And but I will say, Keith, you may like this. I am far more open to the Jack Tuttle option than I was going into the year. So
Yeah.
I have interest in seeing what he's capable of doing because I'm looking for solutions. I'm looking to see what quarterback can drive and lead the offense down the field, what quarterback can sustain us so our defense can get a breath, what quarterback cannot be turnover prone. Right now, that looks like Orgy because Davis Warren wasn't that, even though he could drive the field occasionally. So who can give us the balance? And who can manage the team enough to where we can still be a playoff caliber team as well as a Big Ten contender? And I'm open. Like, we said from the get, like, I don't care who the quarterback is as long as we're winning. So, but right now we're 4-1, Alex Orgy's job. So let me ask you this, Keith. You said you were team Orgy just about 2 to 3 weeks ago. Are you
Yes,
off the Orgy train? Are you on back on that Tuttle train leading it?
No, I'm still in favor of Orgy getting the start this week.
Okay.
I gave Orgy perhaps too much credit, like we all to the quarterbacks for the USC win. I imagine he got in the huddle and he chewed the offensive line's ass off for not and to start hitting and driving like we know they can play. But I didn't see that in the second half of the Arkansas State game. So, if Orgy is going to motivate these guys to play their best, I'm for him, and he seems to be a leader in a lot of ways. But if we get, and there was some ungodly number of 3-and-outs that I had. I wanted to say 18 or something, but it was 8 or 13 or something. But an ungodly number of 3-and-outs, and we can't have that with a quarterback. And we didn't have that with JJ. Even when we ran the ball 33 straight times in against Penn State, we were making first downs and we were moving the ball down the field.
Yeah.
And so if Orgy could lead this team and get everybody on that line to give 100% every play and push and smash, then I'm for Orgy. But if he can't get him to smash and move, and we get 3, 4, 5, 6 3-and-outs in a row, a 3-and-out is just about as bad as a turnover.
Yeah. Especially when it's especially when it's in your territory. I mean, I mean, sure, if you have a punter, you can, but yeah, I mean, it's not good for the defense. It definitely kills momentum. I agree with that. So, all right, Keith, let me get your take on this game this weekend. How are you feeling going into it? What's your score prediction?
Okay, I've never known a Washington team that didn't have strong offensive and defensive line play. And this goes all the way back to the 80s when I was in college. And so Washington is no pushover, but I think we at our best are better than they are at their best. And so I think we're going to win this game by a couple touchdowns if we play our best. So I would say, like the championship game, uh, 28-10.
Wow. All right. We'll take that. Yeah, I mean, I hope you're right. I hope that is exactly how that game goes because that post game show is going to be amazing. But all right, Keith, we got some more callers on the line. I'm gonna move on to them, but I wanna tell you, man, your Jack Tuttle prophecy maybe coming ahead here in the next couple of weeks.
It might be, yep.
It might be, Keith. All right, Keith. Thank you. Thank you for calling in, man. And it's always go blue.
Go blue, baby.
Go blue, my friend. Keith, my man, Keith. I love Keith. All right, let's get to these. B-Dub is next, but let us knock out these super chats here. Elijah Bowman, link for Sawyer might keep me up at night. Well, you better get a tight end to help. Definitely have a running back there. Definitely chip block him. I mean, you're gonna have to do things about that. I don't think Sawyer is absolutely amazing though, but I mean, I hear what you. But put any defensive end against Link, and I'm up at night. Elijah Bowman again, 499. If Tuttle starts, then Michigan's coaching needs to be investigated for having to start 3 QBs in one season and lying all fall camp about QB play, no trust. We're in the same boat. I'm very aligned with you here. I do not like what was said. I mean, like, I just don't appreciate like the lack of. I understand there's coach speak. We understand this, and we understand they got to be positive about the team, but it was a little too much sugarcoating. It was a little too much. The issue was I really believe that they believed what they were saying, and that's concerning to me. But you know what? I will say this: there seems to be a tone change within the Michigan coaching staff. They seem to be very self-reflective right now and doing what I think they need to be doing. So we'll see. I agree with you. Listen, we all know my trust has been removed from where we are with these coaches, but I will say let's remain in observation mode and see what they do. We are 4-1. And then next up, we got the shirtless wonder, B-Dub.
What's going on, Smash
What
Guys?
What up, man?
What's up, Borge? I see you in the chat, bro. You coming at me?
B-Dub's got a personal beef with Borge, bro.
I'm cool. Me and Borge are cool.
It's all up.
But no, I think I just want to shout you guys out personally. I think you guys' show, especially the Tuesday show, I think that's an amazing thing. I don't think anyone else does out there, quite honestly, for any type of Michigan podcast or info, especially for top line content. When you bring the opposite team, it really gives you an insight of what they're good at, what they're not good at, how do they match up. So, it's stuff that, even the roundtable, doesn't know. Yeah, obviously they're very into Michigan football, but it's just things that you look to like very, wholehearted, good, honest content, and you guys put out some of the best stuff out there for having deep insight. quite honestly.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, man. I will take offense. What, you don't think the Thursday show's good, bro? What the hell, man? I'm fucking with you, bro. No, I'm not. No, but no, I appreciate it, man. Again, like it's those kind words along with like the other, the rest of you guys have been, giving us a lot of recognition, and we greatly appreciate it. People in the comments on the videos and things like that. So I mean, shout out to you guys. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we just love talking ball, and we love it from a fan perspective. Or we're not trying to. At the end of the day, we're not trying to please nobody other than our community. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is, bro. But yeah, thanks, bro. Hats off to you guys. You guys make it work. So, what else you got for us, my friend?
Yeah, no, just off of like the roundtable analysis of things, other than the huge, apparently there's a Brian versus Al Borges fight going to go down. I saw that. That was hilarious. And technically, Al Borges is right. I've not heard Brian's multiple takes on that, on the less hits, to the quarterback, and that's why I ran the offense like that. But I found that funny. I do take everything with a grain of salt. Because, obviously I understand Brian's very in depth, charts everything very. I think he looks at things very black and white. And I don't think he looks at things from a coach perspective. Like, Al Borges was saying, flow of things, working on things. I knew going into the Minnesota game that they were going to throw more, or they were going to try to throw more, because they're trying to get him comfortable at the end of the day. You can't expect someone to throw, as well as JG on third down when, you don't have that many throws in you, especially game time throws. So you got to get them out there. You got to get them game time exposure to throwing, and that's what they try to do. And and technically that game was going how we wanted to. It just so happened, I think two things happened, right? No tempo or up tempo, right? Hurt us real bad because Wink wasn't ready to. Depending on your play calling, I would only assume. Obviously, they said they play out of bear, but still, like different things here and there. Maybe just how long the call goes or whatnot. And defensively, Wink wasn't ready for that, so that hurt us. And then the punt return, which I think someone called out, Ohio State fan called. I think your boy Philip or something, Philip Buford or whatever. I think he might have called it out. I don't know. He said the punt cover, the punt coverage was really bad, and I was like, I think you got a point there. It just sort of broke near the end.
He called it out before that return.
Yeah,
he said the biggest weakness of Michigan is actually their punt coverage. Yeah, my boy, Big Buford. He knows ball. Ohio State fan, but he's a good dude. Outside of his family.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but still, I mean, I think people got stuff from that.
No, but to your point on the Al Borges, Brian Cook thing, like, here's my position on this. I will say this, like, out of look, it's another show, whatever. Out of all of Michigan content, that roundtable is must view for me. That's like my favorite show of all Michigan content. So shout out to Sam Webb, Brian Cook, Seth, and Craig and his stories. That's like, in my opinion, the top of the line Michigan content. And I think Brian does excellent analysis and really sees the game well. And I will say this about Al Borges. Okay, like, obviously, look, he's the expert. He's the coach. He does know more football than all of us, likely. But here's my thing on that. Just because you have a title doesn't mean you're never wrong. And just because you have obviously done the job the most doesn't mean you're good. Like, there are doctors there, name the profession. Some people just are not as good as others. And there are people who do not. We see this in different industries. We see this in different fields. They may not have gone to school directly for it, but they actually become masters, or they become elite at said field or topic of study.
Yeah.
Like, you don't always have to have coach as your title to have good analysis or make a good point. I'll simply say, look, there's probably truth to Al Borges and there's probably truth to Brian Cook. I think sometimes people get bothered when you question them because they're like, well, I'm a coach. Who are you? But I also think, I also think the people who are analyzing, they're not always wrong. Like, for example, we told you guys in spring we needed to get a right tackle in the portal. Now, granted, Evan Link may turn out to be fantastic in 2 years, which is, I guess, is the investment they're making, but we weren't wrong. We
Yeah.
told you guys our quarterback situation, we needed to get a quarterback in the portal. Well, we're living this nightmare. So, you know, like, listen, it doesn't.
Yeah, I
listen,
think there is some hubris, right? There is some hubris
Right.
to you got there, right? You like you gotta have some type of confidence in yourself, but then it can also lean into I got this. And then when you don't got it, you're like, shit, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't, my bad, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's what I honestly, I think that's what the coaching staff is learning. Sadly, you know, us as fans in the show and a lot of things, we're setting them to a high standard, right? And sadly, they're not really meeting that standard, and they're also learning sort of on the job a bit. You know, I'm gonna be honest. I think Kirk Campbell honestly thought like he could do it. Like he can fix this or he could do it. He can work with whatever's given, right? As a coach,
Right.
maybe that was his call that at the end of the day was his bad. Was like, yo, I probably should have gotten a quarterback. Yeah, I'm trying my best here. And I think that's what he's doing. I think that's actually what is happening. I think the playbook is evolving because obviously like we've seen the first 3 games, that they wanted to run a very pro style offense and very run heavy and play action laden and to make throws, in small, possibly in small windows, that are very hard to hit if you're not very accurate. And that didn't pan out. So you had a quarterback. Now you're moving on to the next one. And now he's completely different to what you want to run or how you want to run it. He's just an athlete. You get stuck technically now with Harbaugh's project, right? So now
Yeah.
Kirk Campbell probably was going in like, I got this, and now he's just like, yeah, I may not have this, but I'm gonna try my best, right? It's similar to what Al Borges is saying. Like I had to learn. I had to learn to deal with a more mobile quarterback, and it was different because Devin Gardner was definitely the heir apparent in that situation, where in this situation it was not. So now you're changing your playbook now as you go into spring training and you're going through all these summer things, and then
Mhm.
again that to your point though, I mean, yeah, you should also even Kirk Campbell said, "Oh, we'll have packages for him no matter what." Well, guess what? We're out of packages, man. Like we now have to evolve the offense. It can no longer be a package. It's got to be, 40, 50 plays, whatever you got to run right during that game. So that's definitely different, and I think that's what we're all seeing. Very herky jerky stuff. Them
Yeah.
trying.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so, so like, to, I guess, close it or get it full circle. I think there's truth to both sides. I think Al knows more ball than most people could forget. But at the end of the day, like, I don't know. I think the beef's funny though. To be honest, in my opinion, Al needs to just let it be and just walk your
Yeah.
path, bro. I mean, I guess who am I to
Yeah.
tell someone what to do? Do what you want. But I mean, if it was me, I would just be like, Brian has an opinion. It is what it is. But
I think it was just because it was brought up so many times, and I think Al was
yeah, I
like,
mean, he talks about it all the
I'm
time. No, he does. I mean,
yeah,
I watch, he does bring it up all the time. I mean, I guess, we'll let him handle it how they handle it. But all right,
yeah.
let's get to the team here. So, what's your thoughts, B Dub? We're heading into Washington. We're 4-1. Where are we at? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking. I mean, it seems like a long road, quite honestly. I feel like this offensive playbook will continue to evolve. Will continue, I think, hopefully to get better. Um, o- Obviously, I like from the very limited pass pro that was out there that he made some good throws, some making some reads and things like that. To me, was better than Warren on that aspect. Warren was very one, maybe two read, right? So it looked better offensively. Defensively, I think we'll just continue, honestly, quite honestly, to get better and better and better. A lot of backups played versus Minnesota. I think they somewhat held their own. I think Wink's gonna probably have quicker calls. Obviously, since everyone seems like it's the book is out on him to up tempo, but that's if you can run that offensively, right? It works two ways, right? If all of a sudden Wink learns from that. He calls a quicker defense so that everyone can get set up quicker. Well, that's it. You're cooked because now maybe you go 3 and out. Well, I just took 40 seconds off the clock, and that was it, right? So it's a double-edged sword, right? That's how the offense rolls. So that's if teams do that. We'll see. I would not be surprised if Ohio State pushes that to the max because that's definitely up Chip Kelly's ass. That's all Chip Kelly does. I mean, I think he might have slowed down. I haven't watched Ohio State, quite honestly, so I don't know if he still does that with Ohio State, but he loves.
Yeah, I haven't watched.
He
their
loves that
pace.
shit.
I don't know their pace yet.
Yeah,
I've watched Ohio State, but I haven't paid attention to that extent.
exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, I agree with you. I mean, listen, we should adapt, we should evolve. We'll see what Wink has. I mean, I think we would all agree though the defense was far better against Minnesota than it was previous week. So, it's just in that fourth quarter, Minnesota was doing the up tempo offense and they really got us. But I also would argue when you're going up tempo against a tired defense, which I think we were, that's a way to attack that situation. The boys are gassed. They're going to pick up the pace, and it's going to wear. We don't have the depth.
Especially the fourth quarter, right? That's the worst time to really do that.
They put 21 on us in the fourth.
Yeah, and upon return didn't help, and just driving down the field, it was a lot of like, is this really happening right now? And yeah, no, it's something where, at the end of the day, right, the backups on the defensive line have to step up. TJ guy, he's gotta get better. He showed a lot of promise in the Minnesota game. Very smart, intelligent player. Which is fine. That's what you want to be in Wink's defense. I see from edge rusher because sometimes they want you to be in the flat and not just look like a sitting duck out there. So he does do that. Seems pretty well. I just had more problems with the pass rush. Right, it was very lackluster, and I wanted more. Quite honestly, out of them. And the D tackles have to show up. So that's I wanna and then Benny's doing pretty good. So because you gotta think about it. This is what happened last year, right? Graham and Grant, stepped up last year. So I mean, we need those players, those backups to step up this year to have good depth, right? And I think overall, I think. I was actually gonna not call him, but I gotta get to the defensive breakdown if you ever watch that with Vance and Al.
No, I don't watch that one.
I do. I try to watch all of it, so I'm trying to keep up with everything. But he usually gets questions for Vance and stuff, and I really want to ask about Jayshawn Barham because I watch him quite honestly because I want to see him perform well. And he just reminds me of just a really good run stuffer. Like he is, he's Jack Campbell, right? That's our linebacker, right? Our run linebacker for the Lions. He just reminds me of him. It's like, congrats, but that makes you a one-trick pony, right?
Yeah, so his coverage grade is 45.8 on the year right now. Jayshawn Barham's, that's what I was looking up, is Jayshawn Barham's coverage grade is 4.5. His pass rush grade is 54.4, which is not good. His run defense grade is a 68.9. Not awful, but not great. But his last game against Minnesota, he did have a 77.5 run grade from PFF, which is pretty good. Not elite. But
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I did follow him very closely because I wanted to see, especially some of those gash runs that they were getting on us. I was surprised, and a lot of it was him just like he doesn't. I'm gonna be honest. I just don't think he's smart. I can see he has talent, but no, not at all. Not at all. He is not that at all. Quite honestly, if you watch him play, he is just not that. If you put him in the coverage, good luck, dude. And running, he hits things. He hits things very hard and fast, and he blows people back. You see that all the time, and it's great, bro. That is great. If you can make those, not if you can make those plays, if you can get to the play. But sometimes, like that effort play that Minnesota had, right, where that guy like kept running and they couldn't tackle. I watched Josh, Barham just like Oh yeah, dude, I totally missed him, and now I'm just gonna. Oh yeah, no, thanks guys for tackling him, bro. Like, get out there and go, dude. Like his effort I see sometimes, and I just don't get it. I just don't get it. But then sometimes, like you see him sometimes just absolutely destroy guards, absolutely destroy tackles, just blitzing and just a massive a beast, right? Pushing, but just his IQ, I personally have not seen it. Through
Well,
these games, I just haven't.
what's crazy is in 2022 he had a 78.5 overall grade. In 2023 he had a 66.2. So far in 2024, PFF has graded him a 52. So I don't know if it's the scheme that's the issue because it's a new scheme. He's trying to get adjusted to it or what it is. I'll say this. I think he's a better player than we're seeing. I'll say that.
Yeah, I think my thing is this: you're better off putting him as an edge rusher. Quite honestly, I would like him to not be a middle linebacker or a weak side linebacker and just play DN and go out into a flat. If anything, I'd rather
Well,
limit what he can do. That's how I see him.
check this out. There's only 40 linebackers worse than him in coverage out of 632.
Oh, really?
Only 40 are worse.
Oh, only 40 or worse? Oh, so
Are
he's at the
worse.
bottom there?
Yeah, he's at the bottom. There's only 40
Yeah.
worse. And out of
Yeah, I could see that.
632,
I can
that's
see that.
insane.
I can see that. I could see it because I want to see if the hype was real, right? Everyone came in and we were all fed, like you said, a bill of goods and everything that was good, and I'm just watching him and I want to see if he's that. And sometimes when he blitzes, I mean, I'm not going to recall the one where he whiffed, but it's something where yeah he'll blow. He's a physical guy. He blows people up. He's got mass to him, and I think he can run. But I also feel like he has just a very low IQ. I just don't see him very good in coverage. And then for running plays, he gets sucked up sometimes, right? And it's very concerning, right? It's just very concerning. It's just very concerning. I mean, I know some that's on the D line for him to get sucked up like that and to fight through, but it just concerns me sometimes, right? All this hype, possible 5-star, maybe 5-star, like you said, coming out of high school, and he seems to just fall flat for me. I'd rather put him as an edge rusher. I think he's got the size, the mass to just go, and
We'll,
I just
we'll
don't see
see.
it.
I mean, I'm willing to let him. I'll say this: Jimmy Rolder is making a case to play more. I'll say that. So that's where I am
Oh
with
yeah,
that.
no,
But
Jimmy,
yeah, he's making a case to play more. Brandon Hillman's making a case to play more. I think I think that's kind of where we are with that. But let's read this
yeah.
super chat. Michael Newman, $5 super chat. Quote from MGo blog, I'm assuming. Time to bench Link. Maybe his replacement is also the worst tackle. That's not a net loss. Actually, though, why
Yeah,
are the coaches rolling with him? All right. So here's why I believe they're rolling with him, and I think
yeah,
what I'm going to say is actually the reason. They believe his upside is great. I think they believe they're investing in him, and they think he's going to be an all Big Ten caliber tackle. And that's why they're putting him out there to get reps. But I mean, here's where I am, Michael. I would like to see Jeffrey Percy at right tackle. I thought Jeffrey
yeah.
Percy, when Miles Hinton went out, looked pretty good. Jeffrey Percy has started before. Jeffrey Percy has a lot of experience. I would like to see Jeffrey Percy at right tackle. So Miles Hinton at left tackle. And then you got Preby, you got and then Crippen, although
Yeah.
you've been seeing Judice. So I don't know.
Yeah, a
They're
lot of
kind of
Judice, yeah.
and then you got El Hadi, and then I'd like to see Percy. That's kind of that's my
Yeah.
ideal line. I
I
will say I
agree.
think Judice has been playing better though. So actually I want to
It
look up
is
his
it is
numbers.
weird, yeah, the whole Judice Crippen thing that like we've all discussed before on this show. It's something that's very weird. Like they're willing to have a battle at the center position, which is probably the most important position out there, quite honestly. Okay. It's not like a guard, okay, or even a tackle where all they gotta do is maybe sometimes pull or just pass pro block or run down, they have
Yeah.
to call out, communicate things. So that's crazy to me that we're willing to have that battle. But over there with Link's like, no, dude, we got to let him play it out. And I'm
So
thinking, this is Michigan. I don't think we have that type of capability to let him play it out. You know, it's something. If you're willing to have this battle at center, why can't we have this battle at tackle? Like, for Christ's sake, it's, you know.
Well, listen to this. I didn't know this, so we're all going to learn together here. Dominic Judice is ranked 15th in the nation for pass blocking for a center. That's really good. But his run blocking
good,
grade, yeah, that's actually damn good. Yeah, that's actually like almost elite. I would argue elite. His run blocking grade is a 54.8, which ranks him 222nd. That is where he needs to get better. It's a shame that that's not better, because if it was, he'd be a hell of a center.
Oh, so that makes sense then. So maybe they
want to give all time.
Yeah,
because
Crippen does very well. I can see that. Crippen has done very well running.
Great. I can't see Crippen's grade because he doesn't qualify.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah, no, Crippen, I think on the run plays has done very well. Very, very intuitive. I think getting the linebackers and things like that. So I've seen, I can see the difference there. Where maybe he lacks on pass pro, which quite honestly sometimes is not for us, but can be important, because if you want to try to pass a ball and not just run all day, you know, that's important, because you could get your quarterback hurt, right? If you can't call out if you can't communicate who's coming, who's not coming, who's going to pick up who, it can land. I think that one game we had some guy. Now that may or may not have been. I think that he crashed right through the A or B gap, I think, real quick. I think either the guard came down to the center and he let some guy just blow right by him. It was a clear path, so you can't have that. So yeah, I mean, that's something where I could see why. Nonetheless, that's center. We're talking about tackle here, and quite honestly, I would prefer anyone than Link at this point. It's very frustrating, right? There's a lot of frustrating things with this team, obviously, but you can't be absolutely dog shit as a tackle and pass pro when we're trying to pass the ball, so we don't have 8 to 9 people in the box. And like Brian was saying, which I was actually thinking, which you made a good point about, we can't just be throwing quick screens out when the cornerbacks are literally on the line, giving our wide receivers no movement whatsoever. So what? You throw a screen and you get 2 yards because the cornerbacks are already on the line of scrimmage. So
yeah,
we got to throw it down the field.
Yeah, both Percy and Gentry grade way higher than Evan Link. And actually, believe it or not, Andrew Gentry grades as our highest offensive lineman.
Oh, of course.
Yep, they give it to Evan Link. I don't know. That's something we're going to have to monitor. But all right, let me get your take here, Moose. Or I'm sorry, B-Dub. I always confuse you two. I don't know why. It's because you guys are.
It's fine.
I'm always talking to you guys. B-Dub, give me your take this weekend. What do you think about the game, and what's the score prediction?
I mean, from your guy that came on for Washington, that was like I said, really good analysis, really eye-opening. It looks like, let's be honest, that looks like a Jed Fish problem, so that's a good problem to face, right? Because I'm pretty sure if he hasn't corrected it 5 or 6 games in, will it ever change in the red zone? Probably not. So, and honestly, that works to our favor, right? Because we get tighter in the red zone. I feel like, even though we've made some pretty questionable defensive calls, right? Let's just go there real quick. But I could see this going. I'm hoping it's somewhat of I keep thinking just touchdowns, but Zavada's just killing it. So let's do 31 to 31-21. Let's do that.
There we go. We're celebrating Saturday. You heard it here first. B-Dub lets it be known. Yeah. All right, B-Dub, thanks for calling in, man. We appreciate it. As you know, it's always go blue, my friend.
Go blue.
Go blue, buddy.
Go blue smash.
Yep, my man. All right, next up we have Michigan Man. He's next. Before we do that, though, actually, we have no super chats at the moment, so that's fine. But regarding the debate in the comments, Grand Rapids is pretty sweet. I like Grand Rapids. I've had a good time there. I'd also give a shout out to Traverse City and Berks. You're a Red Sox fan. I'm just letting you know, man. I don't know. Go Tigers, bro. Go Tigers. So Michigan Man, what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, man? Hey, no offense to Keith, man, but you was smoking some strong hopium earlier on that Jack Tuttle, man.
Hey,
Look,
Keith is a very
elite.
pro Michigan positive guy.
He said elite. I'm like, yo,
Yeah, we
let's
put him in
slow
the same
down.
category as JJ.
Yeah, crazy. Now, I want to bring up something not a lot of people talking about. Okay, last year we had plenty of halves and multiple quarters where the offense wasn't moving the ball. You know what the difference was?
Huh.
Our defense was just a generational defense. It didn't matter.
It's true.
There were plenty. Iowa, remember that Iowa game? We couldn't move the ball for what, 2.5 quarters? It didn't matter, the defense. Washington, we couldn't move the ball for two until halfway through the fourth quarter. So we moved the ball in the first quarter, quarter and a half, and then we stalled for about 2 quarters. The difference was the defense. I mean, Bowling Green, there's plenty of games we could go through where the offense was stalling kind of like it is this year. Now, of course, that offense was still better, but the point is a generational defense was still able to make the difference. This year, we see that, we can't fully rely on that defense to, really save us if the offense stalls. I mean, that's just the way it is. So people got to realize that this ain't new. It's just we dealt a different hand.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, we definitely were led by our defense last year. We're being led this year, even though it's not as to the same caliber. I would argue, though. I mean, I think you would agree. I'm not putting words in your mouth, but our offense the last few years has been far better than our offense this year.
Oh, there's no question. There's
Yeah,
no
and the and
question.
the players were a better caliber. Our wide receivers were better. Our running backs, even though Khalil Mullins was playing great, Blake Corum, was better. And then quarterback was obviously better after Cade. But even Cade, I mean, although Alex Orji has a bit higher QBR than Cade does right now, I'd
Hey,
argue
you know,
Cade
in
would. I'd
in
argue Cade is a better
2021, in
passer.
2021 Washington, K threw for 44 yards in that game.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we kicked Washington's ass.
In the run game, though. But
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
saying, like,
Yeah.
yeah,
You're right.
the offense is obviously better last year. But if
Yeah.
you look at singular games, right, like the games I mentioned, the offense was just as porous in terms of moving the chains. It just was. It kind of pretty much did what our offense is doing this year. Now, again, it's not nearly as good, but we get off to a hot start, right, and then it just stalls. It just stalls, and that did happen last year. We just had generous defense. But look, we can't switch the quarterback at this point. Unless Alex Orji has a catastrophic just blunder of a game. You can't just play musical chairs with the quarterback. The team's just gonna quit at this point. Because what are you telling them? Like if Alex Orji is winning and he's improving slightly, and you just swap out the quarterback, the team's gonna be like, "What the hell are we doing? Like we're just playing. You guys, they're gonna lose trust in the coaches."
Yeah, so you know what I think is going to happen? So I'm with you. I don't think we should replace Alex Orji unless there's cause. And hold on, I don't even mean replace. I don't think Tuttle should get reps or snaps unless there's cause. But I have a feeling that there's going to be some Jack Tuttle snaps. I just feel like the coaching staff wants it. We'll see if that's true. But it's something I'm just preparing our audience in the community. Like I get that vibe, and it seemed like that was the vibe going into fall camp, even though we didn't really buy it because we were like, how is this the option? But it appears to me that Sharon he has the Jack Tuttle card in his back pocket, and I do feel they're definitely going to play it at some point. I really do.
I'll say this: I think he should replace Davis Warren as the backup at the very least.
I think he will.
So I think
Well,
maybe that's where the snaps are coming in.
maybe so. I mean, the only thing I can confirm is that he has been getting snaps. I don't know the distribution at all.
Yeah, that's the other thing that frustrates me too. Is like when they said, "Oh, Alex is going to get 60 to maybe 70% of the snaps in practice." I mean, how the hell is you expect a QB to get better as quick as possible? You only giving them almost 50% of the snaps, and that makes no sense.
I agree. When that information leaked, that's another one where I was like, why is Alex Orji not getting all the time? You need to invest in Alex Orji. How is he going to get comfortable if he doesn't get more reps?
You know what it is, bro.
You know, so I mean, I'm on the same page with you there. Especially like after you move on from Davis Warren, you have to be all in, man. Like,
yeah, you know what it is. It sounds like a coaching staff that's young in terms of, that guy that's very trepidatious. He doesn't. He's scared that if he invests 100% into this guy, if it goes wrong, I should have given snaps to the other guy. He's scared to go all in. It's a young coach mistake. That's what it is in my mind.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going through a young, inexperienced staff with a lot of things right now. I think, and you're seeing it translate to the field, like not only their approach to the off season, their approach to roster management, their approach to practice, which has, we've covered that. You're seeing that this is a great sample to where you can see, okay, what does that mean? Well, you're seeing the result on the field. You're seeing a team less fundamentally sound, less dynamic on both facets. We've seen lapses defensively. We've seen a lot of lapses offensively. We see the team making mistakes we're not used to, and it's because you see, we see it translating to the field. We see what an inexperienced staff making these decisions causes.
Yeah, 100%. And in terms of the defense, I'm not even as worried about in the fourth quarter, the front, were they getting some runs off? Sure. But the main concern about that fourth quarter defensively to me was what they were giving up in the secondary, not really what the defensive line was doing. That was the least of my concerns. And then also some of Wink's choices. Like when they can't score, you don't want them scoring quick, but you go zero man. Like that's a recipe for them to score quick. Stay in zone and make him have to go through his progressions, and hopefully you can tackle someone before they get to the end zone. It's just a mixture to me of they've got new pieces in the secondary. They're still adjusting. Got some injuries now too, and some questionable play calling. That's first on my list with the defense. The D line getting tired was not really the main issue.
No, I agree with you. The play calling has been like going cover zero on multiple occasions this year, or just missed assignments on the back end. That is not, in my opinion, on the players as much as it is on the coaching staff. And but I will say, I mean, let me know what you think here, Michigan, man. I would say the defense looked tighter. It looked better against Minnesota than it did in previous games. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I 100% agree. And I think they're going to continue to improve. It's just, again, they could look tighter, but if the team makes adjustments at halftime and then you don't make any in the second half, which is what's really going on here, you could be as tight as you want in the first half. You still got to adjust in the second half. Like they was hitting us with the same plays over and over again in the second half. That's a lack of adjustment. And then he needs to, hopefully he realizes he needs to throw out the zero blitz in the red zone. We weren't doing that. That's not what we were doing the last 3 years.
No.
We didn't do zero blitzes in the red zone. We played good coverage, mostly too high with some man. Like this is not what we was doing. That's Don Brown stuff right there. So any good quarterback can read zero coverage. It's like the easiest thing to read. You just have to know where the blitz is coming from, and you're going to have somebody in a one-on-one matchup. It's going to happen. So I'm just not a big fan of it.
Yeah, or you throw it where as you said, where the pressure's coming from, and he's open. We saw that happen against Minnesota because somebody's going to be open. But yeah, no, I agree with you. It's something that Wink Martindale has to adjust. And like the thing is, like the second half adjustments, we have the talent to adjust. The coaching staff has to do a better job there defensively. Offensively is where I'm unsure what our capabilities are to adjust. I'm not sure we have the capabilities to adjust given our one-dimensional approach right now.
Yeah, in terms of offense, I did like some of the changes they made schematically. I think that if they continue to grow on that, mainly just the two-back sets, using Edwards more in the pass game, they need to add more +1 runs and more read option for sure. I know that we don't want to get the quarterback hurt. No, you need to get those reps in with him so that by the time Ohio State comes, he's making better choices in the read option. That comes with reps, in-game reps. You ain't really gonna get that in practice where you can't hit the quarterback. You're not going to get that. So they need to do that in the game. I like the direction they're going in. And I saw Al Borges talking about the interception play. Now, I will preface this. It's still a bad throw. At the end of the day, the throw's still on him. But he got, and this is Evan Link issue. He got pressured, had a sidestep, and then the defensive end, if you watch him, jumps in the air, and that's really what really in Alex Orti's mind. That's why he decided to try to loft it, because he felt he had to get it over the defensive end. It's still a terrible throw. There's no excuse for it. But if the offensive line can actually do its job for a young quarterback that's still learning it, he'll progress faster. So that's what I got to say about the offense.
Fair enough. All right, let me get these super chats, and then I'll get your take on this weekend's game. All right, so Michael Newman here, $5 super chat. What's up with no receiver separation? Morris and Morgan were supposed to be known, reasonably good players. Is it an effort/frustration thing? My response would be, I think, one, coaching. I think Ron Bellamy is not doing a great job of developing. Two, I also think we have an issue where the offensive line, Evan Link mainly, is not allowing the quarterback to have enough time to go through progressions, allow routes to develop. I think that also hinders it. And then third, which is very true, I just don't think these guys are good route runners. I don't think they have the ability to get separation like we would like. And I think one of the things we can do, and this goes to coaching, is you have to create plays to allow for separation. We need to get guys in motion. We need to start doing more creative routes. And unfortunately, but like, you could use a Marion Walker, use a player as a decoy. Like the Lions used to use Jameson Williams as a decoy for his first 2 years a lot to get Amon-Ra and Sam Laporta open. Amarion Walker is fast as shit. There's no reason you cannot use Amarion Walker to at least push the DBs back, make them play way back, and then allow for these these crossing routes and these these other routes to develop. So this way there is separation. It's especially with Donovan Edwards, like you should be able to like have Amarion Walker do a post or something to where it totally draws the safety back, and then or the linebacker has to drop back in coverage a little bit, and then Donovan Edwards should be used on a slant or some type of crossing route that should allow some separation. At least getting a step on a defender where there's no support is something that the coaches have to scheme up. So I would argue the coaching staff needs to do a better job. And then on top of that, the offensive line needs to allow these routes to develop, because we're not seeing that a lot. And then our next super chat here by Ramez Herrick, TJ and Michigan Man. Why don't you say we seen that Tuttle was their choice and things went south when he got hurt? They scrambled to Warren. All right, Michigan Man. He's asking you, what's your thoughts on that?
I don't trust anything this coaching staff says about the QB room. So that's all he said. She said we had this going on. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. I don't know. I don't got faith. In my mind, I just think they have a bad QB situation, and they should have probably went to the portal. At the end of the day, they probably should have just went to the portal. I don't know how good Tuttle is. And then, like I said earlier, it's hoping. At the end of the day, it's a large dose of hoping. In terms of that, and then in terms of the wide receivers, I mean, they have a hands catching issue. Amorian Walker has an issue catching balls. Yeah, even Kendrick Bell. Kendrick Bell don't got good hands, man. At least that we've seen in games.
Right.
He's dropping, and even when he catches it looks like it was a struggle to catch the ball. So they got an issue with that. And Edwards, I think Edwards is going to be getting open. He got open on that wheel route. If he just moves his progression over. Yes. So I think Edwards is actually going to be someone that's going to be getting open, and if they continue to use him like they use him in that game, he will continue to get open. It just comes with reps and Orgy and him, forming a relationship in the pass game. So
and him having trust in his offensive line so he can go through his progressions, because I think he is rushing decisions because he doesn't have trust yet, and that happens. To answer your question, Ramez, regarding, I think you're right. I think you're not wrong in the fact that I do believe, looking at the way it's been handled, reflecting on the first 5 weeks here, I do think that, and we'll give Ballas a little flowers here. Ballas was the one who said Tuttle was the starting quarterback going into camp, but he got hurt. So then there was a Warren Orgy battle. And then this is where you're right, Michigan Man. We got a lot of bullshit reports out of camp that are without question not true. I mean, we see that. And they did scramble. They did scramble to Warren. They tried to make Orgy be more than he is at the time. And that's just how it went down. And now that Tuttle's healthy, it's going to be interesting to see how do they handle a healthy Tuttle with an Orgy who might have a couple plays, whether he messes up or not, but just struggles. It'll be interesting to see how they handle this Tuttle situation. So, Ramez, I think you're not wrong. I just think it's just a bad situation overall. But all right, Michigan
Well,
man, let me get
that
you.
also don't make what Chris Ballard said also don't make sense to me because he said that Tuttle was going to be be the starter going into fall camp or spring camp.
Fall
Was it
camp.
spring or yeah? To me, and this is why they don't make sense, at least on the surface, because clearly the way they talked about Orgy from spring all the way till fall, at least
I know.
publicly, would make you think Orgy was the guy.
Right.
So that I don't know, that don't make sense to me. And look,
I
I'm
agree.
on those boards. Well, yeah, but I'm on those boards too. And one thing I don't like, respect to Chris Ballas, but he seems to be like predetermined Alex Orgy hater. I'm just throwing that out there. You know, I'm for giving equal opportunity, right? Davis Warren got 3 chances. 2 of them were garbage opponents. I think we should give Alex Orgy the same opportunity when he's actually had a much tougher road in terms of competition, and he didn't have Colson Loveland versus USC. He's getting the same grace. No predetermined, oh, he just ain't it. I thought he made some good progressions. I thought the first and 19th throw, that was like his 3rd read. It was a good throw. That was good. I thought on the last drive where he stepped up in the pocket, something Davis Warren doesn't do. Davis Warren would have ran backwards and thrown off his back foot. Alex Orgy actually stepped up in the pocket, delivered a first down strike to Colson Loveland. So I don't know, man. The quarterback situation, it is what it is. I don't believe anything coming out of both boards and out of the coach's mouth at this point.
Yeah, I agree. We have to be in observation mode. We'll see the results for themselves. But all right, Michigan man, let me get your take on the game this Saturday. What's your thoughts heading into it, and give me a score prediction.
31-10. I think if they can actually put together a consistent second half offensively, I think you're going to see what we should have saw the last 2 weeks, which is them chewing up clock, extending the lead by a touchdown or 2, and the defense getting the rest that they need, and it should be like a 31-10 game as long as they get. And the keys are the same: get pressure on the quarterback, run the ball, and hit passes that are needed. To me, it's real simple.
Yeah, I hear you. I hopefully we see them evolve. Let's hope they take another step this weekend. But I want to say thank you, Michigan man, for calling in. Definitely appreciate you. You've been a frequent caller the last few weeks, so I definitely appreciate that. Hope to hear from you in the post-game show, man, even though it's gonna be a late one. So go blue, my friend.
Yeah, go blue, man. Go blue.
Go blue. My man, Michigan man. All right, boys. We are down to our last caller. It is Cam. We are at the 2-hour mark. We're actually going over a little bit, but you know the rules. We finish our callers on the line. So we will do that. Oh, damn. And Cam just went disconnected. Oh, he's back. All right. So we'll get Cam here. What's up, Cam? How we doing, man?
What's going on today? Go blue.
Hey, go blue.
The problem we have, okay, Alex Orgy, our quarterback. So we have to prepare them. I don't want to hear them talking about, well, Torta looking good. No. Prepare Alex Orgy for the Washington game. That's what we need to do. Work with him on the short throws, the intermediate.
Yeah.
And can we find out what he good at throwing the football?
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I mean, I think they need to invest in Orgy. I think that's the correct approach. I mean, I saw growth from week 1 to week 2 in terms of his starting. We are 2-0 with Orgy. I think they need to allow Orgy to get confidence and also get comfortable. He's not going to get comfortable not playing.
Because it's too much of we asking for Tuttle, put Davis Warren in, all that. Let's cut all that out. We have Alex Orgy. Let's get him comfortable. We got to win against Washington. That's it. We can't look, you know what I'm saying? We can't look no further. It's Washington. It's going to be rocking. So we got to get them prepared. Get them good throws. Get Donovan Edwards in the game. I don't care if he don't run the ball. Just put him in the game so everybody can get noticed on the Donovan Edwards. You know, we have to scheme our players open.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah, the coaching staff has to do a better job to put the players in the most optimal position. We have still yet to see that. Like, there's questions all over the place. There's questions at right tackle. There's questions the way they are using Donovan Edwards. There's questions the way they are using Alex Orji. There's questions the way they're using our wide receivers and who's playing and who's not playing. Why is Peyton O'Leary out there? Why is CJ Charleston? Why are they not using Colson Loveland in certain situations, like the X position, or Marlon Klein? Marlon Klein runs a 10-800 meter. I'm sure there's answers to some of these questions that we don't understand, but but there's definitely situations where I feel like the coaches could be doing a better job. There's things we've talked about, and then they started doing like 2 running back sets, more slants, more play action. So it's not like we're off base here. We're not like, it's not like we don't know what we're talking about. Like, at the end of the day, the coaching staff just needs to get tighter with their approach.
And because I'm saying this because the recruits that we trying to get and the recruits that we have, they are keeping a close eye on this offense.
They are. That's confirmed.
Yes, and if we can produce good offense, are we going to keep the recruits that we have, and are we going to get the recruits that we're looking for? That's the question I wanted to ask you.
Yeah. So far, yeah. No, yeah. So far, the recruits we have, it looks like everything's okay right now. Nobody's looking. There's no one at the current moment looking to go to another place. The Alabama situation this past weekend actually resulted in, I would say, positive reports, which is that Andrew Olish and Ivan Taylor defensively, but they look good, and they're Ivan Taylor is going to be coming back to Michigan. Andrew Olish, by all accounts, all the Alabama insiders say he's going to be extremely hard to flip, and they think he's pretty locked into Michigan, which is great to hear. So yeah, the questions then become, what about Jasper Parker, Andrew Marsh? Now, I do know our friend of our program, Moose, he actually does speak to Andrew Marsh from time to time. By all accounts, that looks steady and strong. That looks good. He's reconfirmed to Moose his commitment to Michigan. So I am aware of that dynamic between him and Moose. Jasper Parker is the one that's interesting. And then also our other wide receiver. Why am I drawing a blank right now? I got it right here, though. Jacob Washington. It's going to be interesting to see how does he feel about it. Donovan Johnson, by the way, the IMG commit, who was the former 5-star player who got injured. He's having a pretty solid year. But by all accounts, he's locked into Michigan. He's actually, because Michigan showed their trust in him, I don't think we have any concerns there. But the other ones we're going to have to see. I haven't received, word that they're completely locked in, but I haven't received word that they're wandering either. So, but I hear you, man. It's something we have to be aware of for sure. I will say this, though, with Brady Hart reconfirming his commitment to Michigan, I do think it gives some, I would say, stability to not only this class, but next class, because it's like the JJ situation. If everyone remembers the way 2020 went down, we were 2-4. That was the same year JJ had his recruiting class, and he kept that class together. He literally said, "Yeah, go on, Kim."
No, I said, yeah, he did. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, he told everybody in the class, let's be the difference. Let's be the change. Well, word is Brady Hart has the same sentiments. He feels like he is, that he feels like he can be the difference. I think he sees what we all see. And that's, and that's a player that's a team that really needs a quarterback. And if they have a quarterback, they're a pretty strong team. I want to give a shout out here to Donovan Johnson. His stats this year are actually pretty impressive. He has 187 yards on a 6.2 average in just 4 games. Now he is splitting carries with another back, but the fact that his average is 6.2 is pretty good. So good to see him bouncing back from the injury so far. We'll definitely keep more tabs on it. I know I promised to do a future blue stock report. I may get to it. It's just we're busy. Like it's really like things are really busy right now for the channel. But yeah. So what else you got for us, Kim?
Okay, and then I want to ask this: do y'all think the way they're approaching the season this year, that they wasting the season this year? They're just trying to get through to get to next year.
No, I don't, because I think the season's ahead of us. I think we're 4-1. I actually think they want to win this year. I mean, let me ask you this. Are you asking that because they're investing in people like Evan Link and Judice and some of these other players that we think there might be better options for?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fair
Yeah.
question, but I mean, after looking at Judice's numbers, I mean, his pass blocking is pretty impressive. I gotta do a deeper dive on that, but I will say the right tackle situation, I still don't understand. I mean, outside of long-term development, we can't afford it. Like, so I guess I kind of hear you there, but everything else seems to be they're trying to win this year. I don't think they're throwing the season away at all. I definitely think. I really think they underestimated the quarterback situation. I think that was just a complete miscalculation by the coaching staff. But here's some positivity. Okay, so if anyone read the Dave Portnoy report, he said the reason why he's motivated to do what he's doing is because he sees the quarterback situation. So he wants to make sure it doesn't happen anymore. And this is what we talked about. When the team does not perform at a certain level, a standard, an expectation, then what happens? Change happens, right? And I think you're seeing that publicly by just one donor. That's one donor. So what else is going on behind the scenes? There's definitely more for sure. To what extent, I don't know. If I hear anything, I'll let you guys know. But at the end of the day, here's the reality. We got to tough the season out. We got to hope the team gets better week to week. I think we can go into the bye week 5-1, and we just have to make sure. We have to hope that the program, from administrative to regents to athletic director to NIL collective, everything, and coaching staff is aligned in having a really good off season, because we need one.
Yeah, we do.
We're going to lose a lot. Like, we are going to lose potentially 4 first-round picks, because that's what's being projected right now is 4 first-round picks from Michigan. Will Johnson, Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, and Colson Loveland are all projected to go in the top 12 right now, which is crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. And that's why I asked that. You see the projection just out of 4. And just imagine if Georgia had 4 and they was undefeated and they was mauling over people.
Yeah.
Ohio State, when they had 4 in the top 12, they was mauling over people. And this is disturbing because Jim Harbaugh changed the whole demeanor of the program. So, and by us to have no identity on defense and offense is disturbing.
Yeah.
So
no,
I just want these guys to be motivated. And can we play a fourth quarter?
Offensively or defensively, Cam?
The whole team.
Yeah, I mean would you say they played a fourth quarter against USC?
Yeah, but look what happened though. We was in a tough game, and it really wasn't that bad. It was the whole second half. And if you notice, the whole second half is like a letdown in all the games that we have, except for Texas in the fourth quarter, but that was garbage time. But if you notice, all the games that we had, it was the second half that gave the other team spark. So if we can play the second half, we play the first half, besides the Texas game, we can win the rest of our games. It's going to be tough, but I can see we could win the rest of our games.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest questions for me right now, well, I don't know. I'll tell you what, man. Indiana, I'm gonna be real with you guys. Like Indiana worries me a little bit. I think Indiana's a
Yeah,
really good team. I think
they
Indiana's freaking
the Indiana, that team right there, they scare me.
yeah, because their quarterback's playing great too. It's not even
Yes,
just a team overperforming. It's that the quarterback is also playing really well. And Kurt Signetti has a track record. He did this at James Madison.
yeah, he did. Didn't he win the title at James Madison?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think so. I don't know. I'd have to look. I don't remember. I just know he crushed it.
And he was good for a long period of time too at James Madison. So we
Yeah,
get
dude. His
and
coaching record. I'll pull him up right now. His coaching record is stupid.
yeah,
'Cause we have an Indiana channel, so I talk Indiana all the time, and yeah, I mean his coaching record. Listen to this: 124-35.
that's wow,
Yeah, he was at James
wow.
Madison for 4 years. He won the Sun Belt division in 22 and 23. Yeah, I mean he's just a damn he's coach of the year in 22, coach of the year in 23. I mean he's just a damn good coach, man.
And he know the value of a quarterback.
Oh yeah, yeah. He went and got Rourke, I believe, as their quarterback. Rourke.
So
Yeah, I think Rourke's from Ohio. Was Ohio University. I'll double check though.
so can our coaches, especially Kirk Campbell, they said he was a guru.
Yeah, yeah.
Show the things that you showed JJ. We don't want
Right.
him to be JJ, but show them the things that how you prepared JJ. That's all I'm asking for, man. Because it's man, whew, like you said, it's finna be tough now. It's finna be tough.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree with you. Like, I think Kirk Campbell did help JJ. I actually think his mechanics tightened up, and I think like one of our callers, I think it was B Dub. He's like, well, Kirk Campbell thought he could fix the next one, and I think reality is hit, and the reality is you need talent. Yeah, sure, you may be a good coach, but at the end of the day, you need a player who has the skill set to
Mhm.
polish, and sometimes you can't make a rock a diamond.
Yeah,
Sometimes you gotta get a diamond and polish the diamond. But yeah, man. I mean, yeah. So it is Rourke is the quarterback for Indiana. But I mean, look, I'll tell you this. I mean, I do think we're gonna know in the offseason how serious they are about a quarterback. If we get a top one of the top, you know, I'm interested to see how they approach this. All right, I'll say this, but I'm not promising anything, so please take this with a grain of salt. Sharon is in contact again with Bryce Underwood. I don't know
I
what
heard
that
that
means.
too.
Yeah,
I
I don't
heard
know what
that
it
too.
means. I don't know if that results into anything. I know he loves LSU. I will say this. I know Portnoy wants to get good quarterbacks to Michigan. I know NIL matters, and I know Sharon Moore is back in contact with Bryce Underwood. That's all. I don't know. I don't know the result or the outcome. I'm just presenting what the word is. So, but yeah. All right, Cam. How about this, man?
Mhm.
What's your thoughts on this game this weekend, and give me a score prediction.
It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a close game. For right now, I feel it's going to be a close game. We're going to win, and our defense is going to show up because we didn't have like 3 or 4 key players last week. So we get everybody back. And I think I can see 24-10, 24-13, something like that.
Okay. Well, hey.
Lunch pail. It's gonna be like a lunch pail. It's gonna be what Virginia Tech should have did to Miami.
Ooh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, they came. Yeah, well, was it for the refs? They,
Yeah. And
they
it was
some would
and they
argue they
let
did
that
do it to Miami.
yeah. We gotta bring a lunch pail mentality. We gotta bring work hard, get in
Yeah,
the trenches, grind it out game. And that's how
yeah,
we win. We won against USC and Minnesota.
yeah. I 100% agree with you. I think no question the boys need to play with a message. Like they gotta come with a chip on their shoulder. They got to not, and I don't think they do. I don't think they're satisfied. I really don't. I think Sharon has the right mindset right now. So I will give credit where it's due, and I do think he's letting the boys know, like, listen, this isn't good enough. Victories are good, but we got to be better. And hopefully this Saturday on the road in a very, I don't want to say hostile environment, but I mean, Washington Stadium's no joke. But it's a beautiful stadium, but I will say, hopefully the boys can send a message this weekend and let us know the deal and go into the bye week with a great victory. 4 quarters, and come away with this dub. So, Cam, I want to say thank you for calling in, man. I appreciate it. You've also been calling in a lot for the past few weeks. Hope to hear from you Saturday. It will be a late night. If I don't hear from you, man, hopefully next week.
You'll hear from me after the game. I'm gonna be up. I don't have to work. I will be up.
Man.
I will be up. All right, y'all. I appreciate it. Go Blue.
Hey, go Blue, Cam. My man Cam. All right, boys. We are at 2 hours and 20 minutes. We are over, but it's okay because I really appreciate chatting with you guys. I love the community. The dialogue in the chat's hilarious too. Burks, be nice. But yeah, I mean, shout out to you guys. I mean, you guys make this show badass. Like Mike said from Wolverine Chronicle, like he said, this community is unique, and I agree with that, and I really appreciate it. I love what we're building, and I love everyone who's joined in to the show, chatting, calling in, contributing, members, moderators. Shout out to you guys, man, because you guys are as much a part of this as we are, and I'm just glad we have a platform to where you guys can be a part of it. So again, shout out to Michigan Nation at Michigan at the Voice of College Football. So I'm about to get out of here. I'm tired as hell. It's been a long day. So, I'll close out with this. I think this weekend, Michigan's going to come in. I think they're going to come with a strong game offensively. I do think it'll be similar to the first half of the Minnesota game. I expect them to be a little more creative with the play calling, not necessarily more creative overall, but just in terms of the way it's scripted as well as their approach to it. I think they're going to be better with that in terms of finding the right ways to attack Washington's defense. And the way to attack them, by the way, is through the ground, which is our strength. Their pass defense is very strong. It's top 2, I think, in the Big Ten. It's actually a very good pass defense, but their run defense is vulnerable, and I fully expect Michigan to exploit that. So I think we will be fine offensively. I do think we're going to score enough to get the victory. Defensively, I honestly feel we are going to win the physical battle. I don't think Washington has what it takes on the offensive line to stop Michigan's defensive line at all. Josiah Stewart's going to be back. Will Johnson's going to be back. Samaj Morgan's going to be back. I do not know the update. I know someone asked about Makari Page. I can't recall. But all the rest are looking to return, so that's great. So I think this Saturday, Michigan's going to come away with a victory. I think we're going to have a 5-1 victory. I think we're going to have a hell of a post-game show, and I'm looking forward to talking to all of you. Shout out to you guys. Go Tigers, no doubt. They got a game Saturday, so let's support the boys, and let's get it, man. A hell of a show, guys. We'll be back Saturday, me and John, for the post-game show. And until then, as you know, it is always Go Blue.